Hold on.
Okay.
Sure.
It's easier to move stuff in your computer.
Is it design?
Because I can drag.
That's what I was thinking. Oh.
We all ready now? All right, I'm going to call the Grand County School District Board of Education work session to order. It's Wednesday, January 14th, 2026. It is 3:35. All board members are present. Interim Superintendent Kais and Interim VA Hamilton are here as well. If you are, two things. If you are here to address the board, please fill out a comment card right here and pass that up. Also, please sign in. Where's the sign-in sheet? Okay.
It's there.
Okay, so please sign those. Sign your name as well. Please turn your phones to silent, vibrate, or off. This meeting is available via Zoom and being held at the Grand County School District office. Oh, we're doing a pledge of allegiance and all that. All right. Kathy, will you just pledge your allegiance? Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, mission statement. Kathy, will you read the mission statement?
Our mission is to put each student first every day.
All right, the first on the agenda is approval of the agenda.
I move we approve the agenda as presented.
Is there a second?
I second.
Gabriel Shai makes a motion, Laura Lee Green seconds to approve the agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
That passes 5-0. Public comments. Before we start, let me read our criteria here for public comment. The board appreciates the opportunity to hear from the public during the comment portion of its meeting. Before we begin, a reminder that the public comment period is to allow members of the public to provide input to the board in its capacity as a legislative body. The public comment period is not a forum for discussion or debate between the board and the members of the public. The board does not engage in discussion during public comments, but may later follow up on comments made during the public comment. Each individual will be allowed 3 minutes to provide comments to the board. The board will not allow public comment during public meetings that are slanderous, obscene, or otherwise violate state or federal law. Employees and/or their representatives may not use the public comment period to address issues that should be raised through existing formal communication channels or established grievance or negotiation procedures. All right. We have 2 public comments. Ryan Melton.
Hi, I'm Ryan Melton. I'm one of the assistant football coaches for the middle school football team and have done that for the past 2 years. In addition, I'm assistant coach for the middle school basketball team and have coached most of the kids that are my son's age since City Rec, probably 3rd or 4th grade, and flag football, also in basketball. I was just here to discuss the possible transition of the high school team from 11-man to 8-man football. I would like to say that I am in support of that. I've really spent a lot of time talking to the kids, talking to the other coaches, and while I think everybody does have some different version of how the program needs to look, I don't see a way forward for us to be successful on 11-man football, and I also worry about the future of the program. Like I said, I do support 8-man football for a number of reasons. The main arguments that I've heard in support of 11-man football are, you know, if we could just do this specific thing with 11-man, or if we could do this with 11-man. And really what I see as the barriers to continuing with 11-man football is just turnout within the program, continued eligibility within the program. Basically in football, you cannot be, or any sport, it's really hard to be on the cusp of having enough kids to play. I mean, football by its very nature, you're going to have kids in concussion protocols, you're going to have kids who are injured, you're going to have kids that can't play to, you know, due to a number of physical factors. So I don't feel like we have the room on a roster to play 11-man, taking that into consideration. In addition, you're going to have kids that are going to miss for a multitude of reasons, you know, family emergency, something's going on with them. Vacations, etc. So, I mean, that's another thing that the program, I think, has struggled with, is having, you know, not only kids that may be, you know, injured and not able to play, but kids that are out of town, not available for games. And then I think the third thing is just academics. Keeping kids eligible during the season, having them eligible to start with when they come out has been a challenge. That's been a challenge for us at the middle school level in football. It's a challenge at the middle school level, and basketball, I think it's just a challenge at every level. So for those reasons, I support 8-man football. I don't know that we have another path forward where we can be successful. So I do support that. I would like to recognize that I think Coach Hill has done a great job with the program. He's had put some things in place like weight training in the mornings that he's invited middle schoolers and high schoolers to. So I really think that he's making a real effort in trying to get the program to where it needs to be. But like I said, it's going to be an ongoing team effort, but I do support 8-man. If the board or the superintendent do, and as well Ron, who's athletic director, if you guys do determine that that's going to be the best way forward, I would just encourage you to, you know, consider all the challenges that may be, which could be further travel distances. You know, what's the plan forward? I guess if 8-man is successful, do we try to, you know, go back into 11-man? But I think it's just important that if we do change to 8-man, that we kind of have to look at, you know, what our goals are, as well as any unintended consequences that may come up. But like I said, I do support the move to 8-man. It's really kind of the only path forward that I see. And that's my comment. So
Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you.
All right, next is Anthony Spiker.
Stand up. So Anthony Spiker, I'm the city rec director. I've coached here since 2008, from rec up to the middle school. Did a year with the high school. I'm in support of whatever you guys come to the conclusion of, along with Ron and Keith as well. Whether that be 11-man or 8-man. Where I see our issue with football is development. We have freshmen playing varsity and sophomores playing varsity. So where I think the 8-man football will come in is we could differentiate our freshmen, our sophomores between the juniors and seniors, which to me that's the path of development, right? And the kids are going to get to where they need to be by their senior year if we're developing them. But to take an 8th grader who he's played 2 seasons at the middle school, you put him in high school and you jump him up to that varsity level, size changes, game speed changes, the whole game changes really. And so to me, it's not so much whether we're 8 or 11, it's that we have to have the stepping stones to develop these kids to their senior year. So I'm with Ryan where, yes, I support the 8-man football because I see that giving us the opportunity to develop our athletes. So that's my piece. Thank you guys.
Thank you. Are there any other public comments? All right. Moving on, next, items for discussion. County School District football. Athletic Director Ron Dalton will present to the board regarding the future of high school football for Grand County.
I'd rather have the PowerPoint.
Okay.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for allowing me to be here to talk to you for a few minutes. I did create a PowerPoint back in December regarding the future of our program. And in doing so, just to give you a little background, we've been a struggling program for a number of years now. There's some talking points that are listed there as well. But the High School Activities Association a few years ago created 8-player football, and in doing so, they asked and invited several schools to participate. Grand County was one of them at that time because we were struggling. And so we were invited to be part of this newly created league, 8-player football. And we do have to say 8-player. We can't say 8-man because of the gender thing. So it's referred to as 8-player and 11-player, just if you were wondering there. And at that time, the school made the decision to continue with 11-player football. And this discussion has emerged every year since then in our community about what direction to take our program. And so I have a PowerPoint here and discussing this and why we're here and should we transition from where we are right now, currently 2A 11-player to an independent 11-player status or an 8-player independent status. And that's what it would be because the window closed on Grand County being able to be a member school participating in 8-player football in the state of Utah. That was a one-time option. Our school, we're one of the largest 2A schools in the state, and based on our enrollment numbers, we're never going to be able to be an 8-player competitive in region or in a division team because of the size of our school. The state does have a rule where you can drop one classification if you can prove that over 50% of your student body is on free and reduced, and we haven't been able to do that. We tried that a few times when they put us into 3A as a school because of our numbers. Did you have a question?
I just want to clarify that point. As the system, and Ron, correct me if I'm jumping in, slap me if I'm wrong, but as it sits right now, there is not an open avenue or pathway to go to that because of the things that Ron is talking about.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, change often happens, and that doesn't mean that we'll never, ever have the opportunity. Things could change, whether we drop a classification because of the different metrics or things there. So I just want to clarify, right now, there's not an option
To be 8-player in Utah.
to be 8-player member.
As a member school competing for a state title. So if we go down this path, we're an independent school, we can have a schedule and all these things, but there's no postseason, there's no state championship, there's no academic all-state that comes about from being an independent school. So
When was that invitation from though?
it was, I believe it was in 2021, but the first season for 8-player football was 2022. But they were a year out and inviting schools in, and at that time it was decided by the school not to venture down that way. So next slide. Oh, we're gonna scroll down. That works. So the purpose of why we're talking about these things is we're going to look at the challenges facing our current football program. I want to outline some pros and cons of transitioning to an 8-player program. Look at the factors that go into our decision-making processes. There's not a lot of data in terms of looking for why this would be good or why it wouldn't be good, especially in Utah because they've only had 3 seasons. And then allowing you as a board to make that decision or assign somebody to consider what our next steps are going to be. We have had some communication with the State High School Activities Association, and they've kind of indicated if we're going to make a move, we need to do so probably this month. So the schools, we actually have a schedule with schools right now for next season, and we would need to let them know if we make a change so they can go out and find a replacement game, because we'd be basically dropping the current schedule that we have right now. So slide down, I guess. So the why, as it's been alluded to, we've had declining and stagnant participation numbers for a few years now. For the last 10 years, roughly, from that data sheet, we can't really field more than 40 kids on our football team. And we generally finish the season with losing at least 10 to 15 from that 40. So it really is a very large concern. Again, we're a very large 2A school. We actually have about 110 more students in our school than San Juan. San Juan, now they're a culture giant when it comes to football, but they're getting 110 kids out for football, and we're having to play against them, and we're getting 40 kids out for football. So there's a real disparaging regarding, and I've pushed with the state for a number of years that I'd rather have them look at our participation number in the program rather than our enrollment number in the school. That hasn't come to realignment yet. Okay. But that's something that we've been trying to work on. And we just don't have the numbers over the last 10 years to really produce a team, and we'll show those in just a second. In the last few years, we've seen increased player injury and fatigue. A lot of that is overuse. A lot of our kids, as Ryan and Anthony mentioned, are actually sometimes playing 2 games a week, which is really overuse on a kid in a violent sport such as football. Asking a freshman to go out and play Tuesday for 4 quarters and then show up on Friday and do the same thing for us again, because our numbers are just where they're at. So we've seen a lot of overuse. Representative Hall, if you're familiar with that, she's been looking at some legislation. They're going to be talking about things in the upcoming legislative session about limiting quarters played. Right now, we don't have a quarter limitation. So kid, in basketball, for example, if a kid was a freshman, who played 4 quarters of freshman, 4 quarters of JV, and 4 quarters of varsity. So they could play 12 quarters in one night because we don't have a quarter limitation. But one of the things she's looking at, because she's very concerned about player fatigue, is quarter limitations. So it might, there might be some things legislatively that change some things, but we can't count on those right now. But that's just in the works. We've had a very competitive imbalance on that fact sheet. In the last 5 years, from 2020 to 2025, we've won 11% of our football games. In the last 25 years, we've won 38% of our football games. Okay. This past season, the average score we were giving up was almost 56 points a game. We were scoring on average 3.7 points a game. So we were losing games by, on average, 55 points a game. And when you have to play the San Juans and the Emorys and the Deltas, and they've got, like I said, 75 to 100 kids out for football, and we've got, on average, 25 to 30, and most of those are underclassmen. We're at a very competitive imbalance. And then the last reason, just we want to take care of our kids. We want to do what's best for them. We wanted to make sure we give them the chance to be the best version of themselves, and through these opportunities. You can drag down, Ms. Shea, thank you. So the key differences: you have to have a larger roster for 11 player. If you're scrimmaging, you need at least 22 healthy bodies. So they say on average you need 25 to 30 kids per level. So if we're playing 2 levels, if we're playing a varsity level and a JV level of football, we really need 60 kids to run an effective program, and we're well below that. You have a traditional size field. There's more position depth opportunity. When you have 11 people, there's more positions out there. There is more opportunity. Division alignment, that you get guaranteed games, but sometimes those guaranteed games, when you got to play, San Juan, that's, ruling the roost right now, that's pretty tough. But you do get guaranteed games. 11 player, you have to have 5 linemen required. And that's been, we've had a couple of years where we've had to take a tight end or a running back and change their jersey so they can make 5 linemen. And that's one of the other things, you have to have jersey restriction. With 8 player, you have a smaller roster. You can run programs, one or a level of program with 12 kids to 18. You do shrink the field down. It's still 100 yards, but instead of 53 yards wide, it's only 40 yards wide. It's a very faster game. There's a lot more offense. Scores are more like 62 to 56. It looks like a basketball score. Okay. There's a lot of independence and flexibility if we go independent with 8 player. Only 3 linemen are required, so that eases that burden a little bit. Because I coached for a lot of years and I assisted for a lot of years with Dennis. A lot of kids said, "Hey, if I'm not the tight end or the running back, if you're going to make me play the line, I'm not going to play." And that kind of goes with in 8 player. 6 of the 8 players are eligible to catch a pass. There's no jersey restrictions, so you could be wearing number 50 on the line of scrimmage and catch a pass. Whereas in 11 player, that's not optional. Okay, so it does make it a little more fun, a little more exciting. That there's more, even though there's a smaller amount of kids on the field, there's actually potential for greater possibility. Next one. So here's some of the pros. Increased competitive balance. I've been talking with Monticello a little bit, who's in charge of the 8 player schedule for the state of Utah. And he said, with the exception of Milford and Rich, everybody's on a level playing field. Milford used to be playing 1A football, and they were beating us every year by 40 points. And they've actually gone down to 8 player. And they were kind of ruling the roost. The quarterback for Utah, Barnes, came from Milford. So, they've got a very successful program, and they've even dropped down to 11 or 8 player. But there's a better competitive balance, better safety. You have lower fatigue. You have less kids, they say, going both ways in 8 player than you do with 11 player. You might have 8 kids on your team in an 11 player game going both ways. And then you get a lot of fatigue. That's when injuries occur. But if you only have 4 of 8 going both ways, then there's less fatigue on the players. And when the kids come in, they're more fresh. It's easier to manage your roster. Like I said, with the jersey thing, kids are eligible. It's a wide open game. It's a way to preserve football for the community. Monticello, when they first started looking at this, there was a lot of resentment, a lot of animosity that they weren't going to this. And then once they jumped in, they say it's been the greatest thing for their community. So, and they even played for the title last year. Not this last season, but the season before. There's a lot more flexibility in your scheduling, and studies show that there's more meaningful playing time because kids feel competitive. They feel like they have a chance. It's going to make it more meaningful for them to participate. Next one would be the cons. So you're going to lose your divisional structure, guaranteed games, but in our situation, I don't think that's really a con. If we don't have to play San Juan and Delta, and that's been pretty detrimental. Possible increase to travel. In talking with Monticello, there's 5 schools right in the Colorado border, right outside in Mancos, Dove Creek, Dolores, Norwood. All of them are playing 8 player. There's 2 schools over on the Plateau Valley, just beyond Grand Junction. And then you got Monticello, you got Monument Valley, you got Whitehorse. So it probably wouldn't increase our travel. It would probably actually reduce our travel, rather than increasing it. but it would require more out-of-state travel, which we'd have to work through those things. There is a concern about reduced visibility in state media coverage, player exposure. We have to understand some kids are playing because they want to make it to the next level. But as education-based programs, that's not our purpose. Our purpose is to extend the classroom in a safe learning environment for kids. But there is that concern. But actually, I've talked with some people and they said they've actually had better stats playing 8-player football because it's more wide open than they did playing 11-player football. So, you know, you can look at that either way. I think there's going to still be some old guard, and there'll still be some resistance to looking at this change. Financial impacts, we just really don't know what that would do to gate, travel, our limited liability that we have when we do travel out of state. So those are some cons. Next one.
Is it still fall season?
What's that?
It's still fall season.
Yes, it's
Okay.
still in the fall. Yeah, correct. So the things to consider when we're making this decision is our participation numbers. Like I said, there's a fact sheet on that for the last 25 years. Our competitiveness, safety and welfare of the players. I think that's the paramount thing is we want to protect our kids as best as we can. The financial and logistical impacts, we're not really quite sure what those are, but those are things to consider. What is our community's input? Are we increasing our opportunities? Are we not increasing them for our student athletes? These are just some things that we need to consider in our decision. And then what is our long-term vision? I mean, it doesn't match the vision of our district, which I appreciate Kathy reading at the start of the meeting today. So next one. So these are some options that I've listed. We can remain where we're at, look to try to commit to growth and recruitment. We haven't had much of that. I think Keith as it said, doing a great job with the program. I think he's renewed some interest in the kids. He's doing some things that we haven't done for a long time, and hopefully that sparks growth. But we'd have to rework conditioning and safety to just make sure that we're not overusing our student athletes. And then accept the competitive environment if we're going to remain where we are. You know, San Juan, I think, was up on us, what was it, almost 80-0 before halftime. And the mercy rule doesn't even kick in until the second half. So that's actually being reconsidered as well. Option B would be declare independent status for 3 years. That's kind of what the state felt like would be good for us. There's been some talk about whether we're independent as 11-player or 8-player. There is an option of being independent 11-player, but then we're going to have to go, I think, farther out to find some schools because a lot of the 1A schools are actually tougher than the 2A schools right now. So I don't think that we gain any advantage by being independent 11-player and looking for 1A schools to play.
So if we are independent, you can still play 1A. You're still in the UHSAA.
We're still a member school, but in terms of play, we can play the school, same rules and everything. They actually can play an extra game by playing an independent school.
I see.
We'd still get a 10-game schedule, but we just don't get to see the postseason, which they do. Everyone gets to go to the postseason now with the state, but those options wouldn't be there.
If we're independent.
But if we were independent 11-player, I mean, Beaver's a 2A school, but they play 1A football.
Mm-hmm.
Kanab's a 2A school, but they play 1A football. Duchesne is a 2A school, but they play 1A football. Those are some very good, tough football teams. And so we might have to broaden our horizon even farther if we were 11. In terms of travel and simplicity, it makes more sense to be an 8-player independent than it would be 11.
Okay.
And then in talking with the state, one of them said, you know, you might consider just hanging in for a year, work on 8-player and sub-varsity, see how that works out, and then the next realignment, which is 27 to 29, maybe you make the change then. But the primary message that we got from the state was you really should do this for 3 years. You should jump in now, do it for this current realignment, and then the next 2 years of realignment, and really work 3 years to build your competitiveness back up, to build your numbers back up, to get people excited about football.
So is
Again.
it pretty easy to go from 8-player back to where we
If
are
we
now?
go to 8 players, say right now, we would have to, with realignment every 2 years, they won't accept you back in until after the next alignment or before that next alignment starts in 27. So I don't think it's realistic.
I'm just thinking if.
We can do whatever we want.
Right, but down the road, I mean, like, if
Yeah.
that's something that ever came up, if it came up that we do have a stronger team
Mhm.
now.
We could jump back in, but we couldn't jump back in the middle of an alignment. We can get out in the middle of alignment, but we can't jump back in until a new alignment starts.
So is the 26 season next fall?
Yeah.
Is the last of the alignment?
Yeah.
Okay.
The fall will be the start of the second year.
Oh, the start of the second.
Yeah. So we'll
And
have
they're 2
football, volleyball, 2 years.
Oh,
But they're making decisions on realignment now,
I see.
and they'll publish that, so you have a year to adjust with schedules and
So
stuff.
why do you say,
That's what I thought.
sorry, somewhere, I don't know, the 3-year?
The
why do
state, if we do it now, we say right now in
That just
January
lines up the
that we're gonna
alignment?
do it this fall, then we do it for the additional 2 years.
Oh,
And so
okay.
we would
We total of 3
return,
years. We can
Yeah,
total of 3 years.
total of 3 years, and we could return in the fall of 29 when because the next realignment would be 29 to 31. So then that starts in the fall. Any other questions?
I just want to add, I do not have a crystal ball, and we don't know what's going to happen, as far as structures and things go. There is a push with some of the smaller schools. Districts with smaller schools are putting in football fields, indicating that they're trying to get into football. And so you could see that change. Now, how that impacts alignment, and if they do another exception, like they did back when they brought 8-player in, that could change. But there is some momentum there to really do this with these smaller schools, which would likely create opportunity if that came into play, where we could kind of ride coattails and see. So I think, and Ron, again, interrupt me if you don't feel the same way, but the recommendation of going to 8-player football and planning on being there for the next 3 years as we rebuild the program, get back to the fundamentals, hopefully get more student engagement, have a better competitive balance, is my recommendation for the school board. And I think Ron is in agreement with that.
I'm in agreement with that, and Keith met with his team, and Keith said that his team was in agreement with as well. And if you want to let Keith speak, you can let Keith speak.
Yeah, and we can do that. I do think the one question, I have received emails and feedback from students. For the most part, they are willing and excited to go to 8-man. I have had a couple that are concerned about, getting that recognition. And I think, again, this is something that the smaller schools saw when they went into it. And Ron mentioned Milford, has a quarterback playing for the University of Utah right now. A outstanding player on an 8-man team gets recognition. And it gets recognition more so than maybe a really good player whose team is being beat by 80 points at every game. And I think as you see that, it does get more exciting, more long ball, big plays. So hopefully that can benefit and really bring that engagement. Keith, do you want to say anything about?
Sure. I didn't speak today because I've had ongoing conversations with our football community, and I've spoken with representatives from the school as well, so they kind of know how I felt about this. I mean, first and foremost, I'm here for the kids no matter what. Whatever's decided, I'm all in. We'll give it the best we can give, regardless. I think a lot of compelling points have been made by Ron. As I considered things, and I really pivoted on this pretty handily in the last 3-4 months, where I didn't want to use a transition to 8-man or 8-player. Thanks, Ron. To lower the bar to find success, but this has gone on for so long, the lack of success, within our program that we have an entire generation of athletes that come into the program, even if they love the sport, they don't believe they can win. And that's a huge thing. And even the young men and ladies who do show up have no belief that they can win. And so that affects their off-season effort. They don't want to put in the extra effort to be successful, and they don't believe they can be successful. Ryan mentioned the eligibility issues. Ended our season. We did not have an ideal roster last year to be competitive. We had 30 kids on a good day. We dressed one game with 19 players. I had no idea how we made it through. Lost a lot of sleep trying to figure out where we could put athletes just to complete games. Wasn't their fault that we weren't competitive. We tried as hard as they could, but yeah, the end of the season was a disaster. We had so many athletes that were ineligible, and it's happened before. And I mentioned a message recently to our athletes and parents. Over the last 6 years, hey, it's great to be guaranteed a playoff game. I'll tell you, growing up and playing football in Ohio, we went 8-2 one year and didn't make the playoffs. So that's kind of the unique thing. I don't want to give that up. It's nice to have a tournament to go to. But out of the last 6 years, we've only played in 3 playoff games. And I think one instance, the players decided they didn't want to play. Last year, we didn't have enough athletes eligible to play. Not sure what happened in the other year that we didn't play. But the games that we did play, they were first round, low seeded games. And I think one game was 42-6. There was one competitive game in there. We lost 27-19, and the other one was 41-0. So even when matched up with the lowest tiered schools in 2A in the playoff environment, we couldn't compete. And a lot of that, again, is just attrition throughout the season. So, it's heartbreaking to me when athletes fall out of love with the game, because, the athletes that do things the right way in the off season, during the season, take care of business in the classroom, and show up every day, they can be successful doing lots of things. And, when they're putting forth the kind of effort you need to be successful, and there's just not enough like them on the team, it understandably drives them to do something else where they have greater control over their success and their outcomes. So if all things are equal, hey, stay where we are, fight through this, continue to recruit, continue to approach the program a different way, motivate, incentivize. There's all kinds of bells and whistles that we've re-added to the program. Thanks in part to Kari and Ron and school support and our coaching staff. But all things aren't equal. And I don't want to see more players fall out of love with the sport and see the program end up disappearing completely. So, like I said, you'll get my best no matter what. But I think this is a smart approach in the interim. And the athletes are out there. And once they see our players having fun, playing competitive games, I will clarify one thing, and I don't need to keep rambling on. The football community's response so far to the different options is fairly decidedly in favor of staying 11 player. And so it's hard for me to take a position contrary to that feedback. I don't take that lightly. I'd like to represent our football community the best I can and align with them whatever possible. But sometimes when you see past the first layer of the onion, you realize that there's more to deal with. But the one selling point that I keep coming back to is we actually had 2 very exciting games last year. Both of them were 8-player games. We had a really exciting game at Monticello and here on our field. Went into overtime at 44 all. It's a great game. So I think there will be some initial resistance. There will be, like Ron alluded to, some traditionalists that have some not nice things to say if we do go in that direction. But the moment they see the product and they see the sidelines excited and the athletes out there having fun, I think they'll come around really quickly. And I think the likelihood that numbers rebound within that 3-year period to give us some options going into that 4th year, I think is highly likely. The athletes are out there. They just need to believe that they have a chance, and they need to have enough teammates with them to make it possible.
Question for Ron. So is it still like traditional football and that you have the game Friday night? Like it's the same sort of one
Same
game-
thing,
one
yeah, you
game
can still
only.
play on Fridays.
And one game.
Yes.
By, the football community isn't necessarily supportive of, but that doesn't include the students that are.
That includes feedback from the existing football players themselves. I'd say probably 70% across the board. You know, again, maybe they're looking at one particular aspect of their football experience. But again, there's a lot more under the surface that has to be considered, and sometimes you have to go against the grain a little bit for everyone's benefit.
So just speaking with past players, one of them told me that he loved being able to go up to the high school and as a freshman, you're varsity, right? And that class was, I think I had a middle school year, we sent 24 freshmen up there. When that class graduated, only 6 of them were still playing. The 6 that were still playing were the 6 that got to play as a freshman on varsity. The ones we lost were the kids that weren't getting those varsity reps as that freshman. You know, and when you only have the 30 kids technically on the roster and 24 of them are freshmen, you know, it was, that year we had higher numbers and 6 of them got to start, you know, and so we lost 18 kids, you know, and it was a development thing where they just didn't get developed. Where I see this 8-man is we're going to be able to develop our players, and then being competitive and winning is going to increase our numbers because the kids are going to come back to it because we're going to win or at least compete. We're not losing by 50, you know, we're losing by 6 or 7, or we're winning, you know, and winning's contagious, competing's contagious. So.
Well, I think we keep talking about kids and bringing more kids into the program, but you need to build your fan base. And if it's an exciting game and you're competitive, no matter the 8, 11, people want to come and see a good game.
Yes.
And so
That's what I was
that
thinking.
then builds up things. I think it all, you know, I don't think you lose anything. Some people will be upset, but they were in Monticello. But I know now last year they were really excited when they went played for the championship. Anyway.
They're loving it.
Any other questions for Ron and presentation?
Just the 8-man, do they have their own tournaments then? So
Uh,
you have your
there
games,
is
then
there
there's
is
a
a
tournament
tournament
Okay.
for those that are that are member schools in the 8 player.
in the 8-player, right, so
We
you
wouldn't
your own
have that
tournament.
opportunity afforded to us as an independent. But there is a state championship given to the 8 player top team at the end of the season.
I guess I'm confused. I thought if we were 8-man, we were independent.
We are independent, but we don't get to go to the postseason, so there's no state tournament.
Member is different.
Independent, you get to play whoever you want.
Right,
There's
and
no
then
set
there's a
schedule.
member 8-man member?
Yeah.
Oh.
We're still a member school of the Utah High School Activities
Yeah.
Association. But
Uh-huh,
being independent, we don't get postseason opportunities,
Okay.
no academic all-state. We did this with girls basketball for 2 years,
mhm.
and I mean, there was a mixed bag of stuff going back and forth. But I think that first year, when there was 4 girls with 4.0s that didn't get academic all-state because they would have had we been playing as a member school in 2A basketball. I think that hurt a lot of people when that came to reality, and you know, explain that, but until it actually happens, and when it happens against you, then there were some hard feelings on that. So, but yeah, we have done this before.
But you could become a member school in 29.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what your goal is.
Theoretically.
Yeah, theoretically, if they're open. Yeah.
And this will be back for a vote on the regular agenda.
Mhm.
Next week.
Next week. week.
Okay.
So, thank you, Ron.
Thanks,
Thank
Rob.
you. If you have any questions, you got my email, you know where I work, so. Hit me up. Thank you. I'm gonna go to wrestling. Enjoy your afternoon.
Thank you.
You can head out, we don't judge here. You can hang out or you can,
Head to basketball.
don't even have to. All right, next on the agenda is school year calendars for 26-27. There's two options.
So we have calendar A and calendar B. There's not a lot of significant change around these calendars. It's simply our approach to spring break. A lot of work and collaboration went into these calendars. I don't know how many iterations were built, but we did have multiple meetings with administration to discuss these. And following that process, these are the two calendars that I brought forth for our proposed school year next school year. So both would start out on August 17th. There's your teacher days. Then you have the first day of school on the 19th. There is a teacher day built in between all periods. So between first and second, third and fourth, where in between the quarters, you would come back and have a teacher prep day. It has your holidays that are outlined in policy. A little different from this year with the 3-day Thanksgiving break and then the 2 full weeks at Christmas. Again, if you're looking at option A, the last day of the quarter is March 12th. The last day of the third quarter is March 12th. The first day of the quarter is then the 15th, and we sandwich that teacher day at the end of the week, which elongates spring break for families, parents, students. Whereas on option B, the end of the quarter third quarter is March 11th. There's a teacher day on the 12th, and then we have a week of school 5 days before spring break. To the right-hand side of that, as you can see up there, are the number of instructional days in each month. We had some discussion about quarter equity. And I think a quarter equity is important, having similar numbers of days in each quarter. I don't think it's the end all as these calendars reflect. The second quarters, the second half of the year, the quarters are longer.
Right.
In one, taking into account that the last week of school is a tough week, and so those extra days are maybe less impactful. The other key thing to talk about here is our college and career ready days or student or parent teacher conference days that are scheduled for September 24th and February 27th. And how those would work, they'd be your traditional parent teacher day, where it's a half day instruction in the morning and then parent teacher conferences in the afternoon. And schools can elect and have the autonomy to really do some things to make it work better for their building, whether that's on the following Friday, continuing a half day of parent teacher conferences, or if they wanted to have that flexibility and autonomy to say, hey, we're going to do 2 hours a night for a couple of nights during the week, and then in return, we're going to give a Friday afternoon off to teachers as straight time. What it really does is it allows the schools to have autonomy, but at the same time, not facing some of the issues that we struggled with this year, where because of parent-teacher conferences at one school and letting school out there, we needed to let school out at other places and run buses at different times to have kids at home to babysit, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it just really simplifies and goes down, just giving the schools some of that greater autonomy. And then again, starting a little later in August, still being out by Memorial Day. And honestly, if we could move spring break around away from Jeep Safari, we could build the most beautiful calendar that would just answer all of our problems. But that is not possible here in Grand County School District with Jeep Safari. So spring break creates a little bit of a challenge there. I did have some discussion with superintendents at our conference last week and about some boards that are going to a 7-year model where you're building a calendar for 7 years that actually completes that whole cycle, and it really makes it less of it's a more systematic process when we're editing or new days come in and challenges. And that's something that this type of format definitely gives us the ability to do. I'm not saying that we should do that. My goal right now is to get a calendar approved for next school year and then get 2 more approved as soon as possible so that we have 3 years on the books, and just kind of make goals from there. So with that long ramble,
One of the concerns that I had when I jumped on board as board member last year was looking at how many weeks are interrupted by holidays, just as a former teacher myself. That means the kids themselves their learning instruction is interrupted by a day off of school where they're not in school. And so I was just like looking at both, for August, September, and October. I guess my biggest concern is that, when you look at how many weeks are uninterrupted, you have 6 weeks out of August, September, and October that are not interrupted. But I'm sure that the admins have thought of that and looked into that and tried to avoid that as much as possible already.
we did have that in mind. I specifically, even last year, with the minimal input I had on the calendar, tried to talk about how important that momentum is. And so not having a break every week. So that is taken into consideration in building these. And I think we address it fairly well. Nothing's perfect, obviously.
I think the fall is always difficult, just getting, and it's like the first, and of course, it's the beginning of the school year, so it's tough,
Well, can I address that?
Sure.
So I think if you do look at not current year, but the
Yes.
year before, that's the year that you were.
Yep.
And I would
We're
agree that it was
bad, yeah.
it was very bad. And
Yeah.
and
It was, yeah, this
and-
was definitely better.
and as a parent, I mean, you feel it, it, because you're always just like, no school today again? Okay. This year, I would say
Yes.
that it was fixed to the point of doing better that way. And I think this one also
Is he done?
same kind of thing of like fixing that. And if you look at the 178, that is actual student, looking at that they're going to be going to school
Right.
versus we had a lot of just school days that we were counting
That works.
that the kids weren't at school. And so this is one of the highest number we've had of kids being at school, which I hear feedback from teachers. Usually it's like they like their days off, but like they do want to see those kids and teach their kids. And so those breaks really mess with their teaching flow and all that.
In line with that, you do have some, and it's at the bottom right hand of each calendar, some discretion on how you want to go from basically 176 to 180 instructional days. And there is a legitimate argument that professional development days, when done appropriately, can be beneficial. And you can have 2 of those that count towards instruction. So we could have 176 with the 4 teacher days to get to 180 and then the 183 to get to the contract. That being said, this year I elected, it did have a lot of conversation, but elected to go with 178 days of students in the classroom, as that is our priority. As we continue to grow and move in the right direction and implement high reliability schools as we're doing and focus on PLCs, there might be some flexibility that we have more professional development days in the calendar going forward. We do have some discretion there, but this is, and thanks for bringing that up, Melissa, 178 days. So.
And I thought that, looking as a parent yesterday, but seeing the new calendar, I guess the first thing, if you're gonna have the teacher days no school, those need to be, like the way you're written, it needs to stay here, the dates, like there's no school. Because again, I feel like 2 years ago, it was easy to get caught off guard, and I see this too, there's no school the day after the quarter.
So if you look at it, it's kind of that light pink.
Yeah.
And then down
Just
at
the
the
day
bottom,
after
it says teacher days,
Yeah.
no school next to it,
Okay.
trying to call that out.
Yeah, but it's still like, you don't look here under the date and see that.
We can put that in.
That's
That's a
and
totally-
and honestly, like To me, but there's still some random days more than there is in here, like, and honestly, I'm just speaking as, I'm a seasonal worker, I'm excited about the February break because that's a time that I actually do have a little bit more flexibility. I mean, I'm not really able to go anywhere during spring break. So I'm kind of excited about sort of a new, I mean, and then there are longer breaks in the old calendar.
Are you referring to this year's?
This year's calendar?
This year's
This one
calendar is what
here,
you're talking
yeah,
about.
it's where, there's few, I mean, days aren't catching me off guard, like, oh, they have this day off. And it's like, yeah, I would get used to the teacher day after the end of the quarter. I guess that is sort of systematic, but it's still, yeah, that's just, I mean,
The other thing that this is built in line with, and kind of to answer or to address that, but not specifically, I understand the concerns with the February week, and there is definitely some polarization there. There's people who have that opportunity and it's really beneficial to them personally, that have really strong feelings about that, and others that are like extreme and why in the heck are we taking a week off in February? And so there are voices on both sides. The middle seems to be less vocal about it. That being said, and you guys have heard this before, Senator Fillmore's running an attendance bill. It hasn't come out of committee yet, but it will, and it's likely going to be approved. And basically, the state's not happy with our data, and it's data across the board, attendance data, graduation data. And I'm not saying our, meaning Grand County School District, I'm meaning public education. And there's some real discussion about the leeway that we've been given on what counts as an instructional day. If your senior class is taking a senior trip to the lagoon and out of the building all day, even though you have your 3 other grades in the building, is it an instructional day? And you know, how do tardies impact instruction? And it's being, for lack of a better term, a little bit micromanaged in some of these bills. So knowing that that's coming down the line and not knowing what that will exactly look like is also one of the things that I took into consideration as doing this, because I feel, and I don't have a crystal ball, but I feel that we're going to have some scrutiny. And when they talked about that in meetings this past fall, and different things that schools were doing that were making them unhappy, Grand County School District had been doing some of those things in the past. We were kind of right in line with some of their questionable. How many actual instruction days? You know, when you say you have 178 days, but if you get down to the nuts and bolts and look at it, you know, and they were throwing out examples without naming names, but you know, they say they have 178, but it's really close to 160 because of the different, I guess you would say, unorthodox or non-traditional breaks. So this is really trying to just clean that up, and it does obviously present a change for concerns like what you're talking about.
Last year was 176 days.
Yeah. Well, no. Yeah.
And then 4.
Yes, with the PDAs.
Yeah, 4 PD. I mean, I'm also, I don't understand the last week of school in the school district. It doesn't seem that anybody's expected to attend.
I think that's not unique to Grand County School District. That's pretty unique or pretty normal with every school district or high school that I've ever been around, especially your upper grades. And we have talked and put an emphasis on, was it last year or the year before, we talked about teaching clearly, and I don't.
Last year.
Yeah, trying to make sure that we're capitalizing on each and every minute and making those engaging to students, making them want to come to class. There's things you can do to address that as a group that are outside of this calendar. For example, you know, at the elementary level, trying to figure out special projects that kids really want to be a part of, or even at the secondary level.
I guess like, yeah, the high school, like that last week, it didn't seem like anything was happening. To me, I just like looking from the outside. I'm not sure what.
When did they take their exams? It's all, or exams, how far from the last week are they?
So our school last year implemented the last week, Tuesday is always the first day of the last week. That's final exam day. The problem with that, and the reason that had not been done that way before, is because we have to collect Chromebooks, and this was a new process for a couple of years too. And so the first year, I think we collected the Chromebooks. We had a lot of legwork to do with getting them back. And so this year, when it was like, we're gonna do finals on that Tuesday, it was sort of like, but what are we gonna do about Chromebooks? And it's like, that's a management issue that the management has to address. And it was okay, right? And so we're doing the same thing next year, where finals are that Tuesday.
This year.
And then this year,
Yeah.
sorry. And then Wednesday and Thursday are like our field day and, there's other things, yearbook handout and signing and stuff, and it's always been this weird thing on that Friday where it's only 2 hours. And we ask students to attend to come help break down graduation, and many students don't, but lots of students show up to help put up chairs and clean up from graduation. So, but I think across the board, the expectation for attendance on that Friday is very much like, you're here from 8 to 10, or your kids are here from 8 to 10, this is when the buses are running, and then it's the last day for teachers too, so the district has their little party,
Yeah.
and sort of like, you got your grades have to be in, your party's done, but
Yeah,
so.
and I will tell you, since I had a nephew that just finished high school not long ago, same thing. I don't even think he went to school like the last 2 weeks or something crazy like that. I was like, what?
Yeah.
You
And we used to allow the
something
seniors to
crazy.
check out a week before the last week, but we're just doing it, their checkout is the Friday before the last week. And yes, when they go to Lagoon, they're already checked out. It's still a school day. When they go to Lagoon, it's that Tuesday up, our finals day. So yeah, I think that there's some criticism, but it's also sort of like boots on the ground, come visit us, see what we're doing. And you'll see that it's not nothing, it's just a very different structure than every day, every period you go here and there.
Yeah. It's not-
And to be clear on that point, when I'm talking about those questions like Lagoon and whatnot, I'm not criticizing Grand County School District. I'm saying that's legislative concerns that they're bringing forward and trying to tighten up on, which is a reversal of something that they, 6, 7 years ago, they were going the other direction, giving us that autonomy. And sometimes I think they fail to realize that when they do that, that dog's gone. It's not coming back. So it puts us in a difficult place. But I do think that we're doing a better job last year, specifically trying to focus on making sure that we have. And as I mentioned, that is kind of built into the second half of the calendar because of the last week of school being whatever we want to call that, and then also, any learning loss that takes place after a long 2-week Christmas break type of deal. We're trying to capture that with the longer days or the more days in the last 2 quarters. So we're trying to address all your concerns, and yes, it's not perfect, but it's really, really close.
And then just,
Sorry.
almost perfect. Is there communication, about that last week of school? I guess that's what I would, and yeah, I should have shown up last year so that I had more information, I think.
Yeah. Oh, so do the students and parents know what's happening?
Yeah.
It's published on the website, it's published on
Okay.
Facebook, it's published not necessarily in the newspaper.
Yeah.
But
Right,
I
right.
think part of some of
But,
it is
we're-
it's such public,
Yeah.
it's field day, right?
Yeah.
Parents can come, but it's such public stuff that we kind of don't want to
Right. And it's updated on the calendar on the high school.
on the high school website.
Okay.
Yes.
And if we have specific concerns about schools or communication, come visit with me, come visit with me
Or
and
just
Carter.
let me know.
Yeah, we'll talk about it, show you what we're doing, what's going on, like Carter said, in the trenches. These calendars are gonna come back for.
Are you recommending one or the other?
I have a tendency to think that it might be in the best interest of just trying to be as friendly as possible, or as benevolent, let's put it that way, as possible. Having that, it would be calendar A, where the last day of the quarter is on March 12th. And we have that teacher day on the 19th, does that
So,
extend?
but just to clarify, just to recap, one of the biggest difference between A and B is the March date.
That is the big difference.
That's
That is,
the main difference.
That's what we're talking about here.
Okay.
Is there any other difference?
No.
I don't see
It
anything.
looks-
Only on B that you still didn't change the 24th to the 20th.
In September.
Yeah, September on B should be,
On B,
should be. the
on B, it should be on 24th, I
That's
apologize.
the only thing. And then another main difference from this year to these would be, we're going down to 2 PD days from 4. Did we have 4 this year? Do we have 4 this year?
Correct.
And then
Thanksgiving break
Thanksgiving break from all week to 3 days,
in February.
and then no February.
But it does get us out before Memorial Day.
And then in terms of parent-teacher conferences, they're only like the first and the third quarter, or they will just be?
So the principals will have, the building administrator will have the autonomy, if they need to add additional student or parent-teacher conference days in there, and look at that, where, like I said, whether we're doing things in the evening and trading time on a Friday afternoon, but they won't be district-wide, so to speak, that we're changing bus pickups and bus routes.
Okay. I mean, would you expect there to be parent-teacher conferences on the second and fourth mid-quarter? or-
Again, I'm
For the
gonna,
high school and the middle school,
Yes,
yes.
okay.
For the elementary school, it may not be necessary.
Okay.
so we have that autonomy.
All right, thank you for that hard work.
Any other questions? Are you keep looking at you, and, my question, real fast, sorry. Are we, posting these for comment?
We absolutely can, if you want.
Which is what we've traditionally done. So that might, next week, on the agenda is we just post for comment,
Okay,
if that's,
I have no problem putting, I mean, it doesn't take a board action to put them up, we can post them for comment right now and see what feedback we get.
all right. And that might alleviate, but
Can I
some
have
comments?
2 comments?
Sure, we're in work session, so we're really very flexible.
In elementary, having 2 days and then having students the next day. When we have like a 4-hour meeting at our school and then the district does a 4-hour meeting thing, you're giving me 0 time to actually get my classroom ready. And there's a lot of moving pieces in doing that. So if that calendar was approved, I'd want like 1 day where it was like, you can't have a meeting with me.
Are you talking the beginning of the year?
Yes.
The August date.
Because those don't give me time to actually be in my classroom doing all of the things to get ready for my kiddos.
So I think that's a great point, and I think it's something that we work out at the building level, because it may look different. I also think there is great opportunity for us to be more efficient with some of that time that maybe could be better used, like you're saying, for preparation in your classroom. There may not be a need for a 4-hour district meeting. That's something that we've talked about as far as like changing the scope of that. For example, instead of having everybody meeting at the high school auditorium, it might be that we just push in. So maybe Jerry and I and whoever else in the district that has key things that we need to talk to staff about, we push in for a 45-minute meeting, not.
As long as we had that, like where it was like, no, you'll get a full day to do your stuff.
I'd like to believe that we can get to a point, and maybe we haven't been there, so you guys can all laugh out loud if you want, but that we have that professional relationship between faculty and administration that, you know, I don't need a board-approved document to tell you that I'm going to give you prep time.
You don't have that yet.
We're working towards it, we're gonna build it together, and you and I are gonna be partners in it.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Second thing is you said that building principals get to help decide with parent-teacher conferences. I just want you to put it out there that like the afternoon is only 2.5 hours. And so that would be multiple Fridays that I would then need to make up that time. Because we're meeting with each of our families for 20 minutes per Holly. And so half a day on Thursday. And then if I take other time.
And then Friday,
that's-
Friday you have another half a day. So it's,
Friday, I'm taking my prep to then do it. And so then I just don't have, I'm not being given, I would then be able to take like 3 or 4 Fridays off.
And that's the exact kind of discussion that I want to be having at the school level, because what it looks like at HMK could be different than what it looks like at the high school.
Can we
and
get
the
a
middle
full
school.
day at HMK?
And so,
Or
and
we just have to talk with Holly about Fridays?
we'll be addressing that at the building level, yes. But your concerns are very valid. I hear what you're saying, and making sure that you have the time to be, because we often forget, public education is a customer service oriented industry. So we want to make sure you have the time to be there available for your parents. And we also want to respect your time in your work-life balance. So those are things that we'll be able to address at the school level. Again, I'm trying to get to that point where we have that relationship where it's just not a blanket, one bad apple, ruins the barrel, or we've got to do it this way because really building that professional relationship and giving the schools the autonomy while still being tightly coupled to the district. So great points. And yeah, I invite you to have a conversation with Holly. I'm happy to join those conversations as we look at that because we really, want to accomplish both our goals and be as efficient as possible.
And to that point, it's super difficult as a parent, just when there's half day here, full day here, 3/4 day here, the next day, then it's all day off here, but not for that kid. And I think this kind of, again, here's a district calendar. So as a parent, I can look at that and go, okay, this is where we're at. And then building administrators will through their ability,
newsletters and things
yeah,
like
they
that.
can figure that out. But I think it's communication-wise, it's cleaner.
Can I just ask
Yeah.
one clarification? On those other 3 teacher days, the ones that go with quarter switch, are those considered where you're sticking PD now, or are those actual teacher days? Or is that the same conversation where it's up to the admin?
It's the same conversation.
Is that the purplish days?
No, they're pink,
Oh, they're pink.
like the,
Oh, the teacher day, no school.
yeah.
So that could very well be, hey, look, I mean, kind of like what happened at HMK right after Christmas. I saw that. I don't know. I haven't had the reports, but we had a staff meeting in the morning. It was over at 10 o'clock or so. And then you had the rest of the day. Similar to that, really, talking about what the needs are and how to address them and what fits each school.
And whereas high school, you might be having kids come in making up work on that month because it's the end of the break and blah, blah, blah. I mean, it does look different on those days for both groups.
And then what color are the professional development days that are designated as 2 days?
You can actually have your pick of any of the pink days. The purpose of counting for
Thank you.
calculating that.
So it doesn't have a color.
And
They're wherever they get chosen.
those days, in essence, are not going to be, because there has been, an idea that we have these things established in contract. This is a teacher day where I'm just in my classroom. This is a teacher day where it's just PD day. Really, you have those 5 days, the 2 plus the 3, to be used effectively for your building. So what that looks like at your building. And so they might be that hybrid like we're talking about. But really just allowing that discretion to give the building administrators and the team the flexibility to do what fits their building.
Thank you.
I just have one more comment.
Yep.
I hear what you're saying about before the break, but I like B in terms of sort of the consistency. It's always the pink day is immediately following.
Yes.
The red, the end of quarter, or last day of quarter, yeah.
And I don't know, you could probably flip a coin and either one would be good, but I didn't want to come in and just force one calendar. I had to give you guys some options.
Are we voting on which calendar? We're voting.
So the next board meeting, there'll be, I'm asking the board to make a recommendation to adopt one of these calendars.
Just to point out though, so B would be, there's 2 weeks being broken up versus A, there's only 1 week broken up.
Is that in
Well,
March?
no, you're adding it on A, you're adding it to spring break, but that
Yeah.
1 day is the
There's
19th.
A and there's 2 weeks broken.
Oh, 15th isn't a,
That's the first day of the
my bad.
quarter.
That's a full week. I was thinking green was a
So there's 2 weeks broken up in March on A versus.
1.
Yeah.
A is 1,
Right.
2, yeah, I guess there's a full weekend in between there.
A has more broken.
No,
A
it's
has-
the
Oh,
same.
last day, yeah. Yeah, okay.
One,
It's just the
Well,
one.
is one 4-day week, and the other one
Is 140 a week.
It's one for
Just
the-
on-
Yeah.
Just a week different.
There's
There's
just
a-
one's a week ahead.
There's a week
right.
ahead.
I have one last question.
Too late.
Too late.
No, it's all right, let's go.
Expired.
Done.
With the big red day that says the last day, is that a whole day? What is that day? How are you determining that day? Are kids there the whole day?
So whatever
Is
day,
it 2 hours?
whatever day that falls on. Are you talking last day of the quarter?
Last
Last day of
May
the school
28th.
year.
Last
Oh, the
day of the
school
school
year?
Last day of the
The
school year.
big red day, yeah.
The traditionally 2-hour day.
It's the traditionally 2-hour day. I think we should have discussion about that, especially with, some of the concerns you raised tonight. I don't know how big a culture shock that would be if we said we're gonna change that, but it's definitely,
It's a school day.
it's a school day. And if this bill comes down like Senator Fillmore was talking about, we might not have a choice. So, that might be a 12-hour day.
How do they define a full day? Is it like 4 hours?
That's the discussion that they're having.
They're
right
gonna
now
have
on
that?
But
Two hours
currently
clearly
it's
is not
Currently,
gonna
it's
be-
4 hours of instruction.
Right.
And so we were out of compliance.
Because we have a
For that
2-hour
day.
day, but
In a plethora of areas.
Well, and in that
Not the only-
particular,
in that particular-
question. Okay.
Thanks, Malcolm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
And so, and so these, you're gonna post these, how are you gonna
We can,
solicit
we,
feedback?
we can post them and we can put them on Facebook and we can see what we get. I'll have the shape them on the socials.
Well, I would rather, I don't want Facebook to be the place to comment, but there's a link to something where you can comment, that would be good. I just don't want it to be a popcorn.
Yeah, we usually just create a Google form, and then that way it was all right there, so everybody can see it.
But not everyone has Google, so
You don't have to have Google.
You can click
you'll
anyone.
set that up so that you don't have to have Google. Okay, and then teachers will have that opportunity through other avenues, if we want to email that.
Yeah, teachers are welcome, to send feedback to me. Also, go to your building administrator, if you have a large group. One statement of the same thing is more beneficial to me, if it's that way, but also, I'm open for email, talk to your administrators, let us know.
So feedback will be going to staff, not to board.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you. Even though if you catch us in the grocery store, you can still.
That is not nice, no.
I get mine, I pick mine up, so. All right. Conflict of interest form,
Just a reminder, I think most of you have it done.
how did you see that? I printed it. Did you see mine?
No,
Oh,
Did you see mine?
no, but I heard about it.
Yeah, I did give you one.
Okay.
Mine will be going.
okay.
Whose do you have?
I don't actually have possession of anybody's.
I gave you
You
mine.
just said
I
it wrong.
have yours
Most
and I
times.
have Jenna's.
I emailed.
Oh, I saw Kathy's, yes.
I need it. Okay, so just you two. Okay.
Because we left them at home.
Yeah, so
Because I have to put it on the website.
Oh, we gotta send them to the attorney.
Yeah.
Next is policy CBL. Policy has been posted on the district website and has not received any comments so far. Board has the opportunity to continue to discuss this policy.
So if there are any questions or concerns, if not, it'll be on next week's agenda for approval. Our time and effort policy,
Did you create this one?
in combination with Jerry and what we stole from other districts, yes.
Do we need to have a P after this then?
Yes.
Any questions, comments? Any of that? Board?
So as of now, are people doing the certification, like completing that? right now?
Yes, and
Yeah.
we have forever. We've just been following it under the state guidelines.
Okay.
Last year, the state said we had to have our own policy. We couldn't do it.
Okay.
We're required by federal grants to do that,
Yeah, okay.
but we don't have a policy
Okay.
that says how we do that.
Okay.
So This is just formalizing the process, that what we already do, honestly.
And I mean, where does that certification go, or like?
I have them in my
You, okay,
office.
you swap, okay.
Jill and I collect them and I have them.
And it has been posted for 30 days.
Not yet, it will by next week.
Okay, so this will be on the agenda. All right, HMK Pre-K Site Improvement Project.
Okay, so, we are in that fun last 10% phase where everything is extremely painful to get accomplished. We have continually not been able to meet our deadlines. Again, still really suffering from submittal process and just learning curve with contractors and subcontractors who aren't used to that process. So we are getting there, very close. We're having another OAC meeting tomorrow morning where we will be talking about my significant concerns and where we need to go going forward and how we need to get this wrapped up. Quite frankly, I'm to my fill with some of these issues, and just want the board to be aware that we are aggressively trying to wrap this up as quickly as possible. That's one part of it. The second part of it is some proposal requests and possibly change order requests that I want to bring in front of the board. So if you pull up that first pre-K site improvement area map, that opens. Really, I'm only showing you this because I want you to see my coloring skills that I did in the airport. But if you look at HMK there, it's that purplish color. That's the actual building. If you can see that red line that limits the scope of work, the dashed line, okay, it has left out. It left out the areas in yellow that need to be, that I want the board to take into consideration. The smaller piece of that is on area D, where you're looking at the north wall and the wall that goes along the west side, and that little bit of landscaping that is there now currently. Some dirt, some grass.
Some weeds.
Some dirt, some grass, some
Is there
weeds.
nothing here?
That goes all the way down. I just didn't color that far. I'm sorry.
Okay, but it is, you're looking at that.
Yes. I'm looking at that all the way down. So that area wasn't addressed, and that's actually a proposed change order 7. And then you have the plazas or the courtyards. I'm extremely frustrated with the fact that that wasn't taken into consideration with the original project that I inherited. That being said, I take ownership. I should have noticed that it wasn't included and noticed the shape that they were in. And as we get closer to finishing this project and we're going through the pains of finishing that last 5 to 6%, it just eats at me that we're putting that amount of money, $7 million, into this school, and everything looks beautiful, and we got the fanciest state structures in the entire Western United States. And we're
Really good ball catchers.
yeah, and we're not doing everything. It just doesn't feel right.
Which area is that?
This is the yellow between these two.
Oh, okay.
And so as I look at that, my gut is that we need to do the job right and walk away from it. Jerry and I have looked at what it would cost to address those needs. And we do have money in capital to address those needs. It would set back our schedule, if you will, anticipated schedule of funding our capital project funds by about a year. But my recommendation to the board is really just to consider summing it up simple instead of rambling on. Let's finish the big project that we're on right now, correct? Have it beautiful and all brand new and pristine, has a 70-year life cycle on it, and then move on to our next project, even though that does set our capital fund back about a year. If you go to the next attachment, Michelle, this is the proposed request number 3, I believe. It kind of talks a little bit about what we would be doing in these areas.
Okay, where do you want me to zoom in on this?
Just scroll down a little bit. You can see that that scope of work line that is so frustrating has now been extended to include clear the fence, which is fantastic, and those plazas. And then if you zoom in on the top document, the shade, page number 1. What the proposal there is that we would be adding that landscaping into those plazas, which scroll down. Right there, which is be putting in pavers, mow curbs, adding some concrete unit paver, and then putting synthetic turf in there. Synthetic turf, that's the perfect application for synthetic turf. And I don't know if you guys have had a chance to really look at the turf that we have right now, but it turned out better than I anticipated. If you walk around it and just randomly like check the edges, those seams are tight. That the guys they did great work, and I really think that would just be a perfect application for the plazas, and it would really just uplift the entire back playground of HMK. So,
How long would that extend?
I believe on a change order request, it's approximately 35 days. There's a couple of ways that we can go about this, and I'm asking for board discretion on that. This would likely, if we did elect to go this way, be something that we wouldn't deploy on until school is out, and we would be finishing the back of that project as soon as school's out and moving forward. And again, I have these change orders and proposal requests in front of me. I have had MHTN review them because I had questions concerning the scope and some of the costs, and they did review them and found some errors and questions that I've sent back to the contractor to get clarification on. This is also a project where, in theory, we could decide we're going to end our current project and bid out a smaller piece for this, and still try and have it executed over the summer. That gets complicated when you look at time schedules. That gets complicated when you look at who might be willing to look at a single source job that is in the neighborhood of, north of $250,000 to $300,000. I don't know how competitive that would be. I am putting out feelers. And this is not an action item or discussion, but my intention is to move forward to explore these options unless the board indicates that they have significant reservations and wants more information brought back. Again, two different options, but really at the end of the day, it's let's finish this project as cost efficiently as we can right now while we're there and deployed. It'll be cheaper to do it now than if we want to come back in 5 years and look at it and just get that done and move on to our next projects accordingly as we go. One thing that we're going to talk about a little bit later, we do have roughly, I don't remember, 100,000.
Well, we saved 100 just this year alone on our bond payments. That we'll have saved $100,000 in what would have gone to the capital payment. And what else? Oh, I guess the other thing I would add to that in reviewing the proposals with Matt, reviewing our funding, we really don't have another large capital project like on the short time horizon that when Matt talks about that it would kind of set us back maybe a year on building that fund to the levels that we were anticipating. I don't really, in the discussions that we've had, I don't really see that we had another project ready to line up and take off in the next year. So I think those are 2 points to think about.
So it doesn't have to go out to bid, right? It could be the same.
It doesn't have to. We can do a proposed change order request on this and extend it. And quite frankly, if we go down that route, it's going to be a very explicitly defined expectations, clear. It will involve some give and take push with our current agreement and using it to address. It gives me the opportunity, should the board doesn't have concerns, to address some of my concerns with the overall project going forward. So, and those are things that if you guys are interested in, come by my office, I'll tell you what I'm talking about, and,
Do we know if they are available? I mean.
they have submitted a change order request, so they
Okay,
know.
so they.
And that's one thing, I can't understate or overstate how happy I am with the subcontractors that did the current turf. You know, again, I looked at a number of schools, as we were talking about going with turf, and I am quite impressed with what they did.
But they would have to come, if they did it, they would have to come back in June. They're not still here, are they?
They're still here, well, they're coming down and taking care of odds and ends, different change orders. But yes, they would come back in
June.
in June.
And then this, currently, we are requesting MHTN to design it up. Is this what
This is that design.
that,
So this is what they presented.
they've already designed it for
Yes.
us? Okay.
Inspector.
When did they do that?
I had Cliff start looking at it, 4 or 5 months ago.
Oh,
And when I just got the initial estimate, I was just like, nope,
right.
that really sucks, but we're gonna have to, but like I said, over the last couple of months, that is just wearing on me, and I go back and revisit it, get more creative, and start having discussions with Jerry, and trying to just really do it. I mean, it's old and it's cliche, but do it right the first time, right? I mean, we wouldn't be spending the money that we spent leveling some of those, you know, the south lawn and different things of that nature. Had we just done it the first time, it probably would have cost us a fifth of what it's costing us right now, and that comes back to haunt me. So, and by all means, the board has every right to say, hey, you're out in the night, you know, we'll take care of this ourselves and we'll go a different direction. But my recommendation is that you allow me to move forward with that, with those change order requests. Or I guess not my recommendation, my proposal, my request.
So do you, are you looking for it to be on the next week's
It does.
meeting to be
I don't
a
think
vote?
I don't think it requires a vote. I can definitely put it on as a vote. I just want to know feedback from the board if you have significant concerns or questions. As we,
You know, my concerns, I've personally voiced my concerns.
and I would ask anybody else who has them to do the same thing so that we can be taken into consideration.
Maybe I think, what might alleviate some concerns or questions, if we could just, if the board would allow, like, make the facilities to just committee, which is just me and Dave, to just be pretty
And that's-
aware of
that
what's
was-
going on,
That was,
quick, you know, like a quick,
that thought just came to my mind as well.
Yeah.
We'll say, hey, hand this to the facilities committee to work with me and move forward resolving.
with that,
So,
unless you guys have some. And then you know, voice concerns to us. Or,
So what are you, do you have a certain timeline, something that you're trying to figure out to meet?
no, I mean, I think we'll get together as a facilities committee and talk,
Okay.
after I have my meeting tomorrow.
Okay.
because I'd like still even dig down, how much money that is, you know, like just get a little bit more details of like where we see, 5-year plan, just a bigger scope of that.
We'll get the facilities
And
committee
not
together.
that it's gonna change the mind, it's just,
Yeah, just aware.
just getting my, wrap my head around it.
Perfect.
Okay. Any other questions? And maybe possibly, we do have a site visit next week to the preschool that was supposed to be opening, that we may move to be.
Beacon is on the website.
You guys moved it?
What?
Yeah, we switched.
We're doing
Next
Beacon?
Wednesday, right?
It's
Yeah.
Beacon next Wednesday,
Yeah,
no, next
Beacon.
Monday.
You
Okay.
guys moved,
Preschool.
preschool.
Even further, okay,
Yeah.
never
So
mind
if
then.
we-
So maybe if we're at Beacon at HMK next week, we can go and
Yeah,
walk
yeah.
outside, we'll see kids, and we can get a real quick view.
That's a great idea.
What the
Let's add that
site
to our-
looks.
Let's add that to our field trip.
Okay. Is it about that? Yeah. Yeah.
I think I did that.
Sure.
What's the feedback you're getting from parents? Just, the pace of everything at HNK? You're not hearing much or anything?
No.
Okay.
Majority of the questions I get right now are, why is the parking lot not open?
Okay, okay.
That's a whole nother bag of worms, Holly. We're not
Is
getting
that
into
still
that.
the handrail thing?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Wow.
And are you still doing like the circle that, and the
Yeah, and I've
how are
got
the neighbors?
positive feedback on that.
Okay.
The parent commented on that last week,
Okay.
how it's a lot
The,
easier.
and the neighborhood,
Yeah.
we're kind of in that neighborhood, it's so quick,
Okay.
like and it does not usually wrap around into Ivita.
Mhm.
Is that what that's called?
No, it's
McGill.
Okay.
So it barely hits the end of the community church there.
Yeah.
And if it does start, people usually are parking and walking and getting their kids. They don't want to line. I think it's transitioned people from lining up all the way and just parking and getting their kids. I've noticed.
Libby or somebody's always out there at the crosswalk.
Okay.
Games, or, should be crosswalk. but it's
The
not.
temporary,
Yeah.
yeah.
I've always been curious why parents don't pick up their kids at the rec center. They let them walk across that. I don't know. I always think about that. Like if I was a parent, I'd say meet me at the rec center, walk across the street with a crosswalk. I'll see there.
Crossing guard.
Yeah, like, yeah, I would be.
Because there's
Yeah.
no real place to park. I mean, you'd have to.
Yeah.
Well,
We don't want
Usually
to
that's
line around there.
That parking is usually
That's just
packed.
No, parents haven't been super concerned about the playground or anything since everything's open.
Right, okay.
No, I haven't gotten much.
Next is the single audit finding. Jerry will
Yeah,
talk about the
Matt's
finding.
billing, you can tell that right there.
Finding from the fiscal year 25 single audit completed by Squire and Company.
Okay, so, when Kyle came down and gave the presentation to the board, with the audit, he alluded to that there wasn't quite sure, there may or may not be a finding on our, audit. He did go ahead and issue us a finding, late last week. Everyone could finally submit their stuff through the federal audit, portal. This is in regards to, this is like the corrective action plan, regarding that, the recommendation. This is in regards to, the Beacon program not submitting their final ESSER report. And the program and the funding is, the ESSER funds are gone. So this was, they were spent, long before I was even here. But this finding is in relation to that. So it's not like they can go back and submit a report and finalize it. This is just moving forward. I have notified the Beacon program and the director, sent them a letter along with a copy of this corrective action plan and steps that we're moving forward to do.
So the completion date, in other words, is already
It's
passed.
done, because all we had to do was address it with the audit.
So it's not
because
what-
we can't refile
yeah.
the report.
Yeah.
They just looked at the letter that we sent to, the Beacon folks, and actually, the completion dates when that had to be submitted to the federal, clearinghouse for audits,
Okay.
but it's,
And Beacon didn't have to respond.
they don't have to respond to that. We have to
Yeah.
respond to that. And so I have sent a letter to them, and we're gonna work out a plan moving forward regarding reporting periods.
You've sent that to the federal clearinghouse?
No,
Or
I
to
had
the auditors, or the state?
I sent that to the Beacon folks, and then, and this is the corrective action plan from the auditors.
Do we have to file that with anybody?
No, only this, only the corrective action plan had to be filed, on the federal site.
On the federal site, which you did.
So the corrective action plan is in response to that, not filing their final report.
Any other questions? All right, next, child nutrition program, administrative review, discussion will be led by Jerry, on the review conducted on the child nutrition program in December.
So we had 3 days, long 3 days with the child nutrition people in December. Actually, she gave us a pre-report shortly after a couple weeks after they left. As we were sitting in here today, got the final report. So we have a laundry list of things that need to be completed. I'll have more detail from you next week where we're at now that we can respond formally. The portal's been open to respond formally. Sarah's been working with her team. Some of it was little things, got to have an extra civil rights training, a couple of things like that. Sarah's working with her team to get that done. A big chunk of it was some of our tracking systems, I guess I would call them, our application systems regarding free and reduced lunch. I met with Kendra yesterday with the technology director to discuss costs, what we need to do, and kind of action and timelines. And she's getting some information together for me. And we're meeting again next Wednesday to go over some things were a quick fix from a technology standpoint. Some things are going to be longer, and kind of what the timeline of those might be. We have until February 9th to respond formally to the state on all of the action items or all of the findings. I think some of them, if we solve one, we solve like 4 at the same time. So we're working through that. They all won't be done and solved by February 9th, but they'll at least be addressed.
You're going to present in the paper copy to us next week?
It's 19 pages long.
Okay.
Now that we have the final one, yes.
Okay. Any questions on that? All right. I'm going to skip this next one. I'm going to put this at the end. So we'll go review of non-negotiated policies. Will be next. So that if people don't want to stick around for that. So review of non-negotiable policies B through D with substantive changes. Column 3. Following policies can be found in column 3 of the USBA and Grand County School District policy chart. Your non-negotiated policies that have been changed this year. So we have BAB, BBC, BBD, BEA, CAH, CB, CBG, CBK, CE, CEA, CJ, CA, CJ, DBA, DAB, PAPA, DACA, DDC, DFA, DFC, and DFE. Start with B. Does anybody have any questions?
Can I jump in just really?
Yeah.
So there's 63 total policies that the Utah School Board Association has recommended what they call substantive changes to. So I brought this first bunch to you. It's my intention to quite frankly overwhelm you with policy from now for the next couple of months until with the idea that as the legislative session comes to an end and they start writing interpretations of the law and making rules, and then by the time USBA gets policy examples out to us, we can be proactive going forward because there's going to be another 63 to 70 coming out of this legislative session, right? Now, substantive is means different things to different people. Some of these just have small word changes, and hopefully you've had a chance to look at them at least briefly. There are times when small word changes make a big difference. When you change the word shall to may, it is a big change. For the most part, these are the policies that I selected.
What is the difference between shall and may?
Shall means you will do it. You don't have the option.
Okay.
So district shall
You have a choice.
district shall negotiate placement on the salary schedule. versus district may
Mhm.
negotiate. Placement on the salary schedule. Anyways, I've gone through these and taken notes, and hopefully I can answer questions that you might have concerning them. I know there was a question, Jenna might have a question about,
Do you guys want me to go through one by one, or how I just did like B's? No? No option, no, okay. So I'm just gonna go, so B's.
I have a question
Okay.
about the first one. So basically, they redlined out the board hotline.
That comes back in policy GBA.
Okay, I wondered if they put it somewhere else.
It's a redundancy change.
What was it? GBA?
GBA. And I gotta be honest, with my ability to mix up letters, it could be GAB, but I know those are the right three letters.
Okay.
Is there a deadline on the training for the hotline?
There's not a deadline, you just have to, it's just required annually
Okay.
to just go ahead and take a look at that once every day. And we are working on that, as we talked about last week, or last week.
Who's
What are
watching
you talking
them?
about?
It just,
What
The
video?
hotline training that we need to do that was added to our,
Talked about it in last board meeting.
yeah,
It's just a YouTube video.
30 minutes.
did I do it?
I don't think
Back
it
to-
is.
You added the line.
doing it?
I did, okay.
Yeah.
Is it under,
It's in the resort, like.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's, okay.
Was it-
Just
Down
just tell me
underneath.
the comment.
We made the changes to the document that
Yeah.
day,
I remember that.
the
Thanks,
resources and all, it's there.
Okay,
Cause I was
Okay.
worried it had to be done before the conference.
okay,
We got an overachiever over there.
Yeah, I know.
yeah, okay.
All right. Any other B questions?
The other one I'd point out on the B is BBD, they're changing that form that you all just completed.
Mhm.
So
No,
it'll be a new experience next year.
really?
Is it,
There's an exhibit listed underneath there. It's like 11 pages long.
Is that the same one? It was the
They're
same.
asking for your blood type now.
No. I thought I looked at it and it was similar.
The other major one that I think we're in compliance with, that's been a big issue statewide, is FBEA availability for individuals to participate in person or remotely. That's been a big hurdle for a lot of districts, as far as board meetings go. So thanks to the shade, we're on top of that.
Is,
Well done.
is the agenda correct when we say available via Zoom? Is that how we're viewing these?
no, it's YouTube.
Zoom is YouTube. Okay, Zoom works, so.
Mhm.
That diligent button is Zoom. Okay. I just didn't know if that was the plan. Okay. All right, next are the Cs. These are all
I think Jerry
financial.
just stepped out to get her notes.
Okay.
I have a C question.
Well, is it,
Oh, sorry.
Jerry might have to answer it, but.
Oh, okay.
No, it's good.
So just have to explain it.
She just- Let me, okay, this might be to you, Jerry, this question. This is the Cs. Yep.
Just, who's the state security chief?
Oh, I wondered that
The
too.
state security chief is Matt Clinton.
And that's the official title?
Yes.
No,
he is.
okay.
So
It's not capitalized.
Department of Public Safety, State Security Chief Matt Clinton.
And he just is up in Salt Lake City somewhere.
I suppose. We have one of his, it's the state security, I don't know what's Austin's formal title? He's a state security officer. He's underneath Matt Pennington. He covers our area. He'll be here tomorrow for one of our trainings.
Not what?
Matt Pennington is the,
I have a question about that, and I'm wondering, do you feel like it's appropriate or to have a presentation about safety, about Guardian, like what it means, what it looks like, or is that hush hush?
no, we can bring in our security director, and Libby can give a presentation and answer any questions. It is going to be, because it's a public meeting, at a 35,000 foot level. We're not
Yeah,
gonna get into
sure.
specifics and what that looks like. There may be questions that,
Can.
because we don't, and I think you're very wise in wondering about that, because there already have been a number of issues where information has been shared in public meetings that is restricted. And so, but we could carefully present on that if that's something you want us to bring back.
I mean, I'm getting questions about it and I don't know how to answer them. Just of what it means.
Which policy is this?
No, we're not talking about policy.
It's under CE, it's
Yeah,
school
okay.
safety policy, but it's a presentation from the.
From maybe Libby. So she's our
School security.
school security director.
Correct.
And then are there school safety people at each school?
Yes, we have safety
That-
specialists at each school,
Uh-huh.
and then we also have guardians at each school.
That's what I wanna, I think she could present on that, like what.
Are we
that
allowed to
was-
know who they are,
You can know who the specialists are.
but not the guardians?
Correct.
Who are the specialists?
At the high school, it's Jessica Vanderfield. At the middle school, it's Mike Essenson. And at the elementary school, it's Jared Becker.
That's not their stipend.
Those are stipend
positions. Those are stipend positions.
Is the county security chief the sheriff?
The county security chief is Josh Stoffel.
Who works for-
He works for the sheriff. He's a
Okay.
deputy.
Oh, okay.
The sheriff appoints.
Oh, okay.
And
Or
where are you
appoints the
going with
person.
this position from?
Libby's the school security director.
School security director Bailey.
Bailey.
For like a work session?
I'll work with you on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions on C?
Like, just the same CE. It's a very ridiculous question, but, why, like under 4, like sometimes it's blue and sometimes it's red, the things that they have. Is it?
Which policy are you looking at?
CE still, like under 4, it's just
So
like.
blue is the code, right? And then they.
No, but just like in 4, on page
4.
3 of CE.
Which policy, CE?
Yeah, so number 4, it's like they do B and C as blue. Is that because they're the code?
That's new.
That's new.
Yeah, so, but they're adding all sorts of new stuff in red. Like, I thought before it was like red was the red line and then new stuff was blue, but it seems like it's been changed.
Because it's a number.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, I thought it was easier for me to read before when.
Looks like all
things
the
that were
numbers,
added were
it
not
looks
red
like
also.
the formatting is blue. So 4, 6, if you go up to 2, page 2,
Yeah.
those 4, the 6, the A, the B, the C, when you format it, it's gonna be blue. That's
Okay.
new,
So,
but the
Yeah.
new stuff is
So-
red.
But what, yeah,
so typically on this, and I haven't, but just a traditional, and it varies, you will have your new language added in red. Language that you're taking out is also red, but it has a strike through,
yeah,
and blue is referencing your code.
okay.
Now,
That's
Yeah.
like a light blue though.
the amount of policy that they go through this and the color changes, it's tomato schematics.
Okay.
But what you're talking, this is a light blue.
So now this is what she's
Okay.
talking
Yeah.
about. Is
Yeah,
it here?
it's okay.
But no, she's not talking about that.
Right here. Oh, this.
Yeah, it's like.
I think it's just because they
formatting.
relabeled
But
it,
it's
it's just formatting.
A new
Format.
B and a new
So,
C.
Okay, but
The,
before,
the
like,
likely cause of that is
Yeah.
somebody, it's 2 different people making edits. I don't know
Okay.
if that'll open up if you click on the side there, but it'll change colors if somebody else. So somebody could have added B and then somebody
Okay.
changed that to. and-
I guess I thought previously new stuff was a different color than red. No, okay. Okay. I got a little confused at first.
That's
Okay.
how,
That's.
that's how Mike used to do it. He
Okay.
did things in
Mike
got
did
it.
greens.
different
He did
weird
some greens and
colors.
stuff. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Any other C? question? Okay, now we're on D. Matt, are you?
Yeah, I just wanted to hear a little bit more on DFA, like what we're doing in the schools. With the educator induction and mentoring.
So the changes in DFA are about the state funded PD. How we do that right now is it's streamlined through Alana and Kendra and our new teacher induction program and going through those hoops and utilizing the state has put together some Canvas modules that we use to complete that. I met with them last week. I don't remember the specifics of the meeting, but if you do have specific questions about deadlines or follow through or things like that, come visit with me and we can get into that.
Okay. And DFE, I just, I think I've heard my cover in my copy, but hopefully the rest of you didn't have that. But on the last, on page 2 of DFE, it says the document must be submitted by blank.
So that needs to change to DFEP
Yeah.
and filled in.
So we need to create our own, this policy. So this is an example that we can use. So we just need to, like you say, personalize it.
We just need to fill that in.
Yeah.
I think we already
We
approved this.
we have our own policy that you guys approved earlier this year.
Yeah.
For Shine outside of this model.
This
This is Shine.
So we're not approving this.
No.
It's there for you to look at, comment, compare. We don't have to approve that policy.
We don't have to,
Because
or
we
you
already have one.
because we already have one?
Yeah.
We have one.
What is Shine mean?
It is the highly needed educators.
Oh, right.
Salary
Okay,
supplement.
Yep.
Do you know what letter the Shine policy was?
I think it's DFE.
P. DFEP.
Okay.
All right.
So is that true with the rest of these that we're just looking at them? We're not approving them next week.
No,
These are all-
these will be posted next week and then coming back. And we'll just keep having that ladder effect as we get through
We just won't.
all 63. Which I can tell that you're very happy about.
Okay.
Part of our job, main part of our job. Any other questions about them? Okay, next week we'll be voting to post.
And I think that, just to point out, if we're not gonna change DFE because we have it, we won't post it.
We won't post it. Personnel list, no new hires. Okay. Open positions are still our custodian, system administrator, TSAC, bus driver, full-time bus driver, floating and roving ESP.
We did interview for them today.
Okay. Groundskeeper maintenance.
Interviews
tomorrow.
Interview tomorrow.
And a community coordinator.
I have a question about that. Is that position this exact same? We're just refilling Jeremy's position?
No, we are not. Right now, I'm developing a job description and looking at actually bringing a couple of options to the board about how we structure that and how we can use it to target areas that we're either not working towards at all right now, or that we're working at a very large scale, and how we can really target that for a more in-depth intervention. So, yeah.
I'd like to talk to you.
Absolutely. Come by my office. I got a lot of stuff I can show you.
Are these, so are the other positions being advertised currently, or?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So this will be on our consent agenda. Actually, there's nothing to. Okay. We're gonna move back into the Utah School Boards Association Annual Conference. So we're just gonna go through some of those breakout sessions and talk about that. I'd like to, if you, the administrators, you're welcome to leave since you're required to be here, but everybody else can sit here. If you want to be here, stay. If you don't want to be here, if you're meant, oh sure.
You wanna recess?
Yep, we'll recess. Oh, I gotta figure out where
May I
it
ask
is.
a question? Are you gonna go into executive session?
I don't know.
I just have this situation where I think that a lot of if we had a
Oh.
15-minute break, I could go take care of that. Otherwise, they may
I
be
don't-
dead. I'm
if
not
we-
sure.
If we are, I don't think it's gonna be. I think I'm just gonna. I mean, it'll be 5 minutes. We'll keep it pretty.
Sorry, we need this box.
Yeah.
So this and then that.
Yeah. I'll
Hey,
accept
Matt, I have a question for you.
wait, we're recessing and I gotta get a motion.
It's kind of-
I'll make a
so,
motion to recess.
on this- on
Is there a
this
second?
Jen.
Okay, Kathy Williams made the motion, Jenna.
That's all.
Woodbury. Woodbury seconded to recess. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, that's 4-0 recess with Laura Lee absent. And we'll recess at 5:33.
So this is a uncertified employee. Is there any way that that could
Okay.
be?
No.
A contractor going up something like yeah, because I have a company.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's now more defined.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, that's all I'm leaning towards, because I think we're gonna get a better product. That's what- And you notice that I have, I've been listening to my rock. My rock? I do, I listen to it. We should do that. She said, I did.
No.
Excuse me.
You guys touched the. Oh, so you're saying the last night.
When you make a single master.
Well, I did.
We were.
Yeah, that. Well, I saw
Which
that this
should mean
target
something,
community,
something.
this is
At least that's what the master work.
I was like, does Pam know she's in? That was my.
Thank you.
So I was sitting in my house.
Yeah.
And then I worried to come in to the cover yesterday. Vegetables and birds. Yeah, I know. I know, she's tired. Yeah. It was nice. You can't see.
Oh, did you ever see my grandfather's called Sula? Oh, you have to look at it too.
Also.
Did you see what they look like?
Yeah, so like, I was with that.
I'm ready. They don't look little 25 years.
It's good. Good job.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Press and like panic button. Sure, you're going to-
Yeah, I would be like, Michael, you're just gonna pick me.
I'm good.
I can't find that policy that we're talking about, that, do you have time? Yeah, and they're in the website, that's where that's where I'm looking for it, it's on the website.
Crazy.
We're looking, that is a high priority I've been looking for.
Unless it costs something else.
I don't know, they're expensive. My kids, the last cabinet Josie bought from the store that's right by the mall.
Drive down there, there's a couple of that are. I can use formal, I use box, like where you never want to donate to them, so as far as like, there's never been work like.
My girls want dresses that are in their closet. I would
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, Casey's just looking, she's kinda, I don't think she has an idea on the style, she has an idea on the color.
Yeah.
So what colors?
she's like a purple, dark light medium, she's not blue, sure.
Okay,
I'm not sure she's still on it,
Oh.
I wanna.
Okay, I can't remember exactly what.
Oh,
But
I
yeah,
will look at
we're,
my
she's a junior,
Like the.
we got engrossed in all things. And what is she?
And the horse super, like the super. She's with like the. Yeah.
Read that out loud.
So, did you see that? No, I just didn't. Throwing things against the wall.
I will go definitely.
You text her all that?
Yeah.
She goes, I'm just making stuff back on social media.
Right now.
And there's a freshman, so.
No, that's, yeah, you saw that.
I hate this.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I know it's really hard.
It is,
Enjoy it all.
it was hard, not me,
Yeah, we got a picture of all of us, and we got all
That
the
is actually
pictures together, and then.
she's usually.
Yeah, and we just did
But then you get in our own little group
Why
chat,
did
it's
that
like,
come?
right?
Were they-
But I
they-
know going into
they-
high school, I think maybe being on the volleyball team was small, and kind of pressed into a different life. You're like, great, I'm here, you all know that, perfect. I mean, just seeing her bloom totally different than a normal personality from her. Crazy. It's awesome and crazy. And she ran for office, not in her wheelhouse, she's freshman class, second year, totally not in her wheelhouse.
She did it.
She did, and we talked about how it's awesome. I think she did it to go to St. George with her sister, and then she did.
Whatever motivates
Whatever
them.
works, whatever was the motivation.
Yeah.
You can't join it.
So quite funny while we're sitting here in this meeting. I mean, we had the preliminary rough draft of the nutrition audit review, and it's 3:56 today.
It makes it help you feel like, hey.
Right, but you're using.
Right.
You know, have you seen it?
Everybody did.
You?
Yeah, but I know there's.
There's like, you know, you're not being the data that that's where.
You know, there's just more attention in general.
Based on the skill set, right? But just one thing. Or how to effectively. Or like, I have it.
You know, I think I actually have
Or we
a,
have it even like.
you're killing me, dude. Tutorial on 1A, so I assumed with independent 8-man, obviously is independent. There's no, is there an 8-man unit? Is that just 1A? Oh, 1A is always just 8-man,
No, it hasn't been in the past.
but it is now, or it can be.
We have an 8-player league.
Within the group you said.
I don't have a number.
Oh, okay.
We don't have an email.
If you want to, and it's gonna be 1A by definition.
So we need to add the PM.
We need an
So Rich said,
Brittany to do these things. All right, just put it in my file.
You know what, I told you it was,
So.
do you understand that?
If we would have opted in for 8-man, we would have been in the league, and we would have been able to play for the state championship. We opted out. Independents aren't in that.
Why are we not doing in the league? Why are we doing independent instead of in the league?
Because you have to do it at a certain period of
Oh.
time. There
Oh,
are
that's
dates
all.
that they
Oh,
put
okay,
you in,
okay.
so three years.
so in
independents.
2029, we could go in the
Yeah.
league and be
As
part
an
of it.
8-man,
Not necessarily.
Well, they may.
Yeah,
okay.
but
Theoretically.
theoretically, yes.
If
But
they would have
ideally, if
done
we
it
have the
just-
option of going 8-man
We
within the
would
league,
discuss-
we would
We
prefer that.
shouldn't be discussing this,
Okay.
because we're still in open meeting.
Oh, all right. I just wanted to understand.
I'm going to get in.
And we're on YouTube. We're live.
Okay.
Are we,
We're here. No, Matt's coming back.
Not Jill.
Yes, someone's talking.
Jill needed him.
Well,
Karen.
all right, I'm gonna,
Did you see my text message earlier today, David? David, I called you David. Did you see my text message earlier?
No.
I was just, when you get a chance, just check it out.
all right, I'm gonna come out of recess
Hold on.
at 5:42. I erased it. What, 5:33, did it go? All right, we're in open session right now.
I see.
All right, so going back on to the agenda, what we put on there for a work session was just working through some of these work or breakout sessions that we went to.
It was so good, I just,
So
so much. How many of us went to the highly effective board member session? I think we all went, right? Yeah.
why don't we just, if, I'm gonna go through these breakout sessions, and if you went, you wanna say something about it, let me know. And let me pull up my. All right, gang awareness for intervention in Utah schools. No, navigating the AI paradox. So this was the first one presented by Adam.
David.
Is there anything, so I think.
That was the Ogden presenter.
This is the Ogden.
He was.
What I want
And
us
the-
to possibly, how we format this is there any information you feel like the other board members would, shall know, or are there any, things in upcoming agendas you want to look at, talk about, ask Matt to look into, ask Jerry to look into, working through some things. So that's that. Yes.
He emphasized, Spencer Cox is coming out with some human-centered AI initiatives, and that was his message when he came up. Ogden School District doesn't have a policy, but they have a framework, which is available to anybody. And they have tried to be very human-centered. And I definitely think that we need to look at that.
Well, and I think the big takeaway I got from Ogden, because it was about Ogden and how they implemented AI to be working into their system, that they didn't need to make a new policy because that's already in their technology policy, but the framework that they designed to stay within the existing policy guidelines that exist and keep it human-centered. We're really, I thought, quite good.
Yeah.
Would they share them with?
Absolutely.
They share them
They will
anyway.
share
It's on there.
everything.
I think there's a link on the website. Yeah.
I kind of had a quick conversation with Matt today, and he has an AI policy. And he took it from somebody, and I was gonna ask him right there, but, so there is one in the hoppers. I'm gonna, so let me go back. I think, I wish Matt was in here, but, he'll do what we want, but one of the things that kept coming up in my breakout sessions were policy committees. Talking to him where we're at, historically, so we have USDA model policies, and so we're slowly kind of now incorporating a new policy here and there. But what those other school districts, they have they have all their policies that they've created. So, but I think it would be pertinent for us to, well, we could either create a policy committee, or what he's kind of been doing is ad hocing policy committees of, like, if I know that we need an AI policy, he'll grab, the technology people and admin, but not as one group,
Yeah.
but as, but I feel like we, you know, if we want to create a policy committee.
Here's my question about that specific thing, is that if our board, one of the main duties of our board is to create policy, obviously, change whatever, policy, then look at policies, then, I mean, obviously, the superintendent is involved with policy, but am I right in that this is more our lane, more so than?
Well, we're not gonna write a policy.
No, not write it, I mean, but evaluating, looking at it, changing, like handling that part versus
This is what
listening to the superintendent give us that information. So my point is, should we have a policy committee that then reports to us and says, okay, instead of him saying it, that it's our policy? Does that make sense? Is it?
Yeah,
our job
and we
description?
just haven't had
Right.
those policies to do that.
Okay.
We
Even the
haven't-
ones that we're looking at now, just.
We haven't had it, none of these are all code.
Right. But
So-
so only specifically our policies would we need to be doing that. We don't have, I mean, I don't know, summarizing, or whatever. Sometimes he just has so much information and I appreciate
Well, he
that.
just read the policies.
Yeah, in detail, so.
It would be creating them. I would see it, the
Okay.
policy committees are more of creating a policy and then taking those personalized policies and changing them to fit our district, or in going through, sections of the USBA policy and say, hey, that's really not gonna fit.
Right.
We can take it out or we can add to it. And it's not him, it's, but he has the staff and the knowledge to actually write it versus we wouldn't write it. So they would come with a draft. I would see staff coming with a draft, not us drafting it up.
Okay.
But
that's-
all of these policies
I thought you-
that we get every year come from USBA and they're written based on whatever the legislature has said you must do. So cell phone policy, or, we've passed these laws. So USBA writes a policy that we use kind of as our guide, and we almost just say, we just sort of.
It's not a guide, it's code.
Well,
it's
it's
law.
code, so I'm just saying then,
We can make.
that we can't
more
change them.
We can
Or
add.
We can make them more
We
restrictive,
can,
right?
we can
We
add,
can make
right.
them more restrictive.
Right. Oh, right.
Okay.
So that's what maybe then, Melissa, you're saying that's what a policy committee would be
I don't want
taking.
to create something that we don't need. I'm just wondering, that's where my inexperience is coming in. Do we?
Well, if the policy says that we have
That we-
to provide clean water to our students, and then I don't even know
Like,
how to
the
explain it.
phone policy, like the phone policy would be a good one now.
Yeah, if we
for
went
example.
bell to bell.
Because
Right.
that was open, like,
Right.
we could.
We could make that more
change that.
restrictive if we wanted. Or,
Yeah.
and there's not other policies we'd be talking about.
Not in this,
before.
not in what we've adopted already. I'm sure they exist.
But we're not.
But that we are just dealing with code policies. So if we were to pull
Go
some,
back
say,
and-
go to
But we do have our own
Ogden,
cell phone policy.
yeah, and they're all Ps,
Yeah.
that we
Yeah.
personalize them.
Right.
So if we were to go to Ogden School District and pull their policies, they probably have some policies that are not, state code,
Like a dress policy.
dress code policy.
Dress code policy would be
Gotcha. Right.
something that would not be state code, but we have one.
Mhm.
Memorial, our
Well, you
memorial.
can find
hall,
that
right.
out really quickly because they've AI'd everything, and all you have to do is put in there, do they have policies that are different
Yeah.
in the state? Ogden will tell you.
Basically, if
we wanna go
what
back.
you would create a policy before an emotional situation were to arise, so that we would have an answer.
Good answer.
How do we change football? We have a policy about sports, how to create a new sports program. I mean, all these things that hopefully you see beforehand,
Right.
you have a policy so that you just,
So I guess that's not necessarily something we need to create, but it could be in our back pocket so that, hey, right?
Create
Creating a policy committee.
I think it's time to
go ahead and
that.
do that.
Because
Okay.
I think we've now,
Well, that's what I was asking.
yeah.
Okay.
Or if we don't think that there's a lot, I think we should.
Okay. I
Or
agree, yeah.
we could still, which I don't think is as efficient, but maybe it is.
No.
But ad hocing, like, okay, he's gonna pull in these groups. And specifically so that the committee, is relevant versus, you know,
Right, yeah.
you might have an AI, you do want the technology
Sure.
people on the policy committee,
Of
but
course, yeah.
they're
that's
not
like a
gonna be on a
one-time thing.
wellness committee or to talk about the wellness policy.
It's like an expert that's gonna
Right.
help us for that one
Right.
thing but not on the
Right.
policy. It's like invited in,
Right.
hey, we need your help. Yeah, I agree with that.
So,
But getting back on task to the AI, the big thing that I think that was my takeaway is that they created a framework first based off of what they wanted it to look like across campuses and for admin and students, so that as they moved forward, they knew kind of what their boundaries were before they set all of those things in. It's more like a giant outline of how they wanted to move forward in their district before they set their policies, so that their policies and everything matched back to their vision. Because they said, you know, it changes so much, you don't know what you want. those
did you
to
guys
be.
get a copy of that framework?
It's
No,
on,
it's available
Ogden
on
said,
their website.
What website?
Ogden
Ogden
School
School
District. Yeah, he was really good, actually. I'm
So
talking
what-
about the framework of AI, so Melissa's just going through.
And so was the state,
Not-
the State Board of Education
Yeah.
AI specialist was also there.
Yeah.
Right.
So we do have a draft that we've started on AI policy, because Utah School Boards hasn't put one out, but Washington School District has a really good one that we're looking at, and having a discussion with that framework, and then, San Juan has another good example.
So I think, so what you missed, I think what we wanna do is create a
Subgroup for that.
for at least the board. So maybe next week we can appoint, 2 board members to that policy committee.
Okay.
And then you can populate it. If it's AI, you can bring in the technology people for that. If it's something else, we can populate with the different people. But we know who on the board is on the policy committee, so that they can do the heavy work before the board.
And then present, yeah, so we're not all, but yet we still have our foot in it. That's one of the things we were talking about, is forming a policy committee in general, just to make sure we have that.
So.
All right, let's see, which one?
Okay. I'm gonna add that. Hold on, my list too. All right, moving on. Looking ahead to the 26th Navigating Utah Legislative Landscape. That was the first session, so I think they had different people at each one of these.
I went to the first day, the first one,
3 days.
and there was Senator McKell and
Is that a woman?
Mike McKell.
Yeah, Mike McKell wasn't at mine.
And Representative Tracy, I don't remember her last name.
Oh, Representative Tracy was at mine. She was one of them, the McCullough.
I think it was a lot of question and answer, so I'm sure every session was gonna be different, because it just depends on what people are asking. I don't know if you want me to read what my notes are.
What I want to know is there anything that you think the board would need to know? Or any agenda items in the future that we would,
Agenda items, not necessarily. They just gave us a heads up, there's gonna be this attendance bill, which Matt already talked about. Senator McKell saying that we need to enforce attendance, whereas several years ago, they kind of weakened our enforcement. He said there's gonna be bills for early literacy interventions. There might be some bills, again,
can I
about.
add to that, the early literacy? So right now, we are using different standards than the other states, the nation, was what they were trying to. So our literacy looks very low. So there was an article in the paper that showed us very low. But they're apples and oranges kind of test. I don't know if it was testing or like, but they were saying that we look lower, but we're actually not.
Compared to other states, is what you're saying. Although it still is, I mean, it is pretty, the numbers, according to our standards, are pretty low. Like the number of third graders or whatever. that
And
we
this is
read
just,
on
this is state.
For the state. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, not, it's just the state of Utah.
I'm
yeah.
saying state, yeah, I don't know.
So, but anyway, they're gonna be pushing bills for that. There's gonna be something again about devices in schools, not sure, but it's gonna be.
Well developed. No,
Well, I'm not
there's
even
already
sure it's
one.
actually about cell phones.
There,
It might
there
be like-
also is one, I heard that.
There will be, I think
Yeah.
that too, but I think when
Yeah.
they were saying devices, I think it may be like not so much emphasis on like Chromebooks for everybody and stuff like that. I don't know if this is important for, they were talking about, how they're gonna maybe talking about capping property taxes and how much, like if we can raise our rates, that they're only gonna allow rate increases by like up to 5% or something a year instead of, so just things to be aware of. Senator McKell was interesting. He thought that he did say he thinks that there's way too many bills, education bills. They should be consolidated. He thought that the school security bills are too unrealistic because they're too comprehensive. So that was his opinion, so for what that's worth.
The lady in our session kind of said that too, that it just seems like maybe we should put some of the school safety bills into more counseling and mental health
and prevention.
unless bars on the windows
Exactly.
and films on the windows.
So,
Oh, it's her comment.
Yeah. So,
USDE is also recommending, asking for cuts, 5% to the education funds. So,
USDE.
oh no, I'm
No,
sorry, legislature asking
yeah,
USDE to recommend 5% cuts
Oh,
to
that's
the
right.
funds.
To be clear on that, they're asking every program
Yeah.
to look at cutting 5%.
Not just education.
Not just education. And Senator Fillmore in a couple of our meetings explicitly came out and even sarcastically said, "Do you really think we're going to make you cut 5%? It's just an exercise. Quit focusing on it."
That's right.
I don't know if he's
Like they'll cut maybe 5% from all the, 5% each.
he does have a proposal to work on that would allow the state to pull money from the Economic Stabilization Fund by creating a new criteria that if tax impacts from the federal government impact the state of Utah to a certain extent, then they could pull money out of the Economic Stabilization Fund to go towards education. A little bit of Robin Peter paid Paul, but that's also taken into consideration when we look at that 5%. So it'd be interesting where that lands.
They did indicate they know these three things are from USDE. I think they were on the school board, state school board.
Oh, two of them were from USDE and then one was another state.
Yeah, the one.
The second group?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that they recognize that needs are going up, and I think we just need to start quantifying the data. And then the attendance issues goes back to that generational differences that we had the speaker, but looking at optimizing the educational experience. And this was coming actually from the group of people that they were thinking that technology is actually hurting attendance.
Right.
For example, they can do their stuff on Canvas, and that's why they can. Why go to class if we can just do it on our computers at home? They feel that the legislators hear stories or heard more than stats. So control the narrative, And when you're emailing when we're emailing, that means, the stories are important to put in those emails, but in the subject line, write yes or no, short email to the legislators, 2 sentences.
So stories like anecdotes better than statistics.
Yeah.
Is what they think. It's like an anecdote. This is what
They hear,
Yeah.
they grasp onto
Okay.
Susie, blah, 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 blah,
Right.
instead of 42%.
Right.
blah.
Yeah, again, it's not true stories, we're not over data.
Yeah, that's right.
One of the difficulties there is these stories can be outliers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They get a lot of motivation
Yeah.
behind them, but
Mhm.
if you look at the big picture, it's pushing us.
But they're saying if we're trying to get what we want, we want to tell the stories because
That's true.
we're not
Like
the
us tell the
outliers.
We're not.
Any other legislative?
Smart Brevity, recommended book.
Oh, yeah,
Uh,
that's what that was.
What's it? What is it?
Smart
Brevity, one of the 3 ladies said it was, or.
Did
oh,
you
maybe
look
that
it up?
wasn't- Maybe that wasn't,
That wasn't.
Never mind.
That was a
Yeah.
different one, yeah.
Yeah,
I
I
wrote it
heard
down.
something
That was from
That was
highly
Rob's,
effective
or
board
Rob's.
meeting, I think.
No,
No,
that
it's
wasn't
highly-
legislative. Yeah.
I thought it was highly effective.
Smart Brevity.
I thought I had that.
The
written
power
too,
of
and I
saying
didn't
more
have
with
it.
less.
Yes. Yeah, I think it is too, because I did not attend the legislative one, and I have that book written.
Oh, well, I have it written right here.
Oh, maybe.
Maybe.
Maybe it's a really good book.
Smart
Brevity.
Brevity.
Oh, yeah, this is a different book. This one was the governance.
Oh.
Okay. Any other things? Okay, current legal issues.
That was predominantly overridden. I think we got off agenda because of the lawsuit that was filed the day before against Davis and a handful of other districts concerning the book banning regulations. Basically, what that argument is that while we have the ability to select what books are on the shelves, our previous law, what was a good mechanism, and the changes that they made last year that kind of have a blanket effect throughout the state, such as the 3 districts agreeing, and you don't even have to
Oh,
read the
yeah,
book.
yeah, yeah.
And the scrutiny likely is in violation, and anticipate a summary judgment that bill needs to be stopped until this is figured out. Works its way, maybe even kicked back. So in my session on that, it was interesting, because there was some polarization in the room about, some very supportive of, hey, if the book addresses, and they kept throwing around the word pornography to where the presenter actually stopped and said, okay, that's one of the issues we need to look at when we're talking about content in a book. There is sex, there is sexually explicit, and there is pornography. And calling everything pornography is not appropriate, and it actually causes more problems than it helps. And the conversation kind of got a little sidetracked on that. But I do see, again, I don't know everything, but I would imagine that we'll be directed by the courts to go back to our previous legislation and process until they work out the legalities of the new changes that came in last year. So depending,
Wasn't it filed against the state of Utah, not Davis County?
it was filed, it actually named several districts and
And the
the state of Utah.
Saying that you should.
Our process for banning books is unconstitutional.
Who filed it?
The ACLU.
ACLU and the Vonnegut Estate and 2 anonymous high schoolers. In 3 March.
The other thing that I thought was interesting is at the very end, he tacked on an important thing for boards, and I thought, man, we are on top of stuff. It was public comment in board meeting and how to respond to them, hand in hand with the training that we went over a few months ago. So glad to see that we're up on current issues.
Next, Rob's Rules of Order. That was Rob Smith.
Yeah, I did that one. Anybody?
I'm sorry.
I did. Yeah, you have to. Yeah, that's right, we were gonna get together. We were gonna get the laminated stuff. Did we ever? Remember, you had said that there was a printout. They said they would share the slides or whatever to print out.
Where do they share all these
He has
PowerPoint.
Slides and all that.
They should be on the USBA website, but if you have specific presentations you want, I have no problem emailing Rob and asking him for that or.
Yeah, because they kept
tracking
saying
them
in
down.
several of the sessions, because I thought they always would share them on that app, I thought, was what the plan was. And someone said, well, if they don't get them in ahead of time, it's not included on the app.
Right.
But each one would say, yes, we'll
Yeah.
send out that.
Right.
And so unless they put them in after the weekend. 'cause
I
haven't
didn't see it today, but I
Okay.
couldn't, I wouldn't.
Yeah, so maybe we can, but I would like to see that,
So you know which one we're
River
talking
Oceans.
about, Matt?
Yes,
The-
Rob Smith.
Yeah, so that he had
River Oceans.
he had two laminated cheat sheets. One was the Jurassic, which I have and I can share, but another one that he thought was even better.
It's
was-
called frequent motions.
I took a picture of it.
Okay. Then maybe we know how, we can order it from somewhere.
I thought it was just a,
No, it's
he
just
created
his.
it, we just printed,
he
laminated
created
it,
it?
yes.
Yeah, he
the
just made a
frequent motion
spreadsheet.
one.
And it
No,
was.
no, not that. Well, was it in the laminated thing? I know it was a slide, but he had
It
that
was a small-
laminated thing.
That's the
that
one
was-
I think.
I didn't see he had a laminated.
And he showed it to us, and I didn't think it was called frequent.
It says, I wrote down, get the tools, frequent motion, slide, print, and laminate. And then it had, yeah, that's what I wrote down,
We
but
would like the
if we could
that
get
laminated
his slides, we
Yeah.
can look and see, because everyone was up there going, how did we get this?
I know, I want to.
So there was adjourn, how to adjourn, how to recess,
Mhm.
how to complain about noise, how to, how to,
Or the temperature of the room.
It's gotta make you feel a little bit
How it
good,
falls.
positive, that we don't have a contentious,
Yeah.
really
Yes.
argumentative board culture right now.
Oh, yeah.
Where we need some of these things.
Right.
So, as I agree, let's track down the slides, but let's keep, a focus
Yeah.
on that we're all here.
Yeah.
I think it's,
Well, because
Same
it can
purpose.
change though, I mean, that's the thing, is I was, when I'm in all these sessions, I'm like, we are just so
The-
cohesive and great.
I think one of the biggest ones was the substitute motion versus the amended motion. So those are two different motions.
Mhm.
Or it's on top of the motion. So if I move to approve, to approve the agenda, which is not a,
Right.
right? And then Kathy seconds it. Dave says, I would like to move to amend
Right.
your motion. Jenna seconds it. Then I call for the vote to,
First, we have to vote that we're going to amend.
we're gotta vote to amend, to vote on the amend.
Right.
You're not voting on to
The
amend.
amendment.
And then you vote, and then that's the new, if it passes, that's the new motion. And then you vote on that. That make sense?
No, it was very,
Okay.
but it's just making, do steps at a time
Right.
and.
You have to, well, to amend, you have to vote to,
It's two votes.
decide.
You have to vote whether to substitute or amend the original motion. So you first have to say, okay, yes, we will agree to amend the
That's-
motion.
yeah.
And then after we've said that, then we say, now we're going to vote on the amended motion.
well, it's not amended, and now it's just the motion, right?
Well, yeah, okay,
Yep, and
Right.
now it's the motion.
yes.
Yeah. That's good. It versus, he said, don't use friendly and friendly,
I didn't know what that
Oh,
was.
yeah.
friendly amendments or
Right.
whatever. But
The one that I had a question about, and I still have a question mark, yeah, that means ask you guys, was the one where he was talking about after we've second, I wrote down, after the second, we can have the floor or discussion, can have a motion to recess during a motion. Was that the one where we could have a recess if we wanted to?
You can have a recess during debate, which I think just means recess.
Yeah.
Like if it's a long going on, you can move to have a recess.
you would not
Because you
talk
also
about
might
it.
want to have it, you might want to do
That's
that
what-
if you
that's what
want to
it was.
get more, like, I want to go find some
Information.
information.
Like
Yeah.
I'm
research,
gonna
that's
go-
what it was,
yeah.
yes, because that's
I
what I
wanna-
wrote it down.
right,
Yeah,
make it-
not
But you
to
wouldn't
talk.
talk.
It was not to talk, yeah, you're right, it was for that, but it was what I was confused about is when we can have the floor for discussion. But
No,
after the second, like, what?
I
There
think
has
he
to be
said
a
that
motion
after
on
the
the floor to
second,
discuss.
the maker of the motion has the floor,
Yes.
he or she is the first person that gets to
Yeah.
talk.
Okay.
That's, I think, what I
That's
wrote
what that
down.
was, okay.
Okay.
You can't discuss a
That
motion
was just-
before it's made.
Right, that.
I mean, no,
Before
that doesn't made
seconded,
yet.
before
It's not,
seconded.
yeah, well,
After
it's
it's, yeah.
Then you
Okay.
discuss after second.
it's not a motion until. it
And you
is.
can call a question if we feel like debate's going on.
Yes, you can. I will
Dave's
call for
really
the
good at
question
that.
all the time.
Dave's- Call the
Like,
question.
Okay, let's keep
You
these
can count it.
exposés on these little things about 5 minutes and let's move in.
Okay, yeah, that's all.
But if you ever have the opportunity to take Jurassic Parliament, I think that's a great training to,
Is that something offered through, is that just a?
I think it's
person?
online now.
Okay.
She used to do them in person, but I think she's since
Can you
retired.
give me the title of it so I can read?
Jurassic.
Just, it's Jurassic training or?
Jurassic.
I might get emails. I'll send you an email from the
Okay.
lady.
All right. I'll just-
Jurassic
I'll follow
Parliament?
up on that.
I
Yeah,
have a book.
Jurassic Parliament. I think it's Jurassic Parliament.
Okay. I think that's.
So why we do Robert's rules, so it's transparency and trust you're building. It helps bring emotion down when it's high emotion issues. And emphasize the power of pause. I think that's an important part to the person running the meeting. And so you might call for, is there any more questions? And then wait. Don't just
Just move
keep-
along. Right.
Mhm. So, okay. Connecting high school youth to workforce opportunities by bridging education and employment.
I love this one. And it's something that I did have questions to ask later. We don't have to talk about it now, about how does our high school work with the workforce development crew? Because that's basically what they did, was they discussed, a cool program that workforce development has for the high schoolers. It is a VR, it's a virtual reality. It's part of that, is it Oracle, whatever that popular one is that all the kids have. And it basically gives them, on the training experience to test out careers. And it's just, it puts, like, for example, I did the vet technician. And I had to, do an ear look for ear infection, and it's all virtual reality. And the point is, to get these kids, because there's apparently like 80-something jobs they have to go with the VR set, that like, oh, I think I'm kind of interested in maybe being a vet tech or working on cars or whatever it is. And so it's very guided instruction on how to do it. And then they would experience and just kind of get a little taste to say, oh, that's kind of cool. I'd like to know more about it. And so, but that particular VR program is called Transfer Trek, and it's part of the workforce development for Utah. They come into the high schools, and they kind of do it. So they recommend it in a classroom setting. Like, this is all part of like CTE stuff. And they would come in and, because you have to have a lot of space because you have to stand up and, so anyway, to do the virtual reality, the whole point of it is that it targets the kids who drop out, who are just, nothing is stimulating them in school. The really, really high risk kids, that's what this program is for. And it's not necessarily for all the kids. It's really just for those kids. And anyway, disengaged youth. That's what it is. So I just wanted to follow up to find out, and I can talk to high school about that, how we are working already with workforce development, because I'm sure we are, but it may not be this particular program, and it's all free, So anyway, I'll follow up with that, but I thought it was an amazing
Well,
program.
I'm gonna follow up on a presentation from our work-based coordinator.
Excellent.
There you go.
Is she gonna come? Our work-based
This is,
program?
I just put that
the
down.
program is through
You're gonna invite
workforce
her.
Yeah.
development, but it's the VR program is Transfer Track. FR.
No, we have.
You and Caitlin.
Caitlin Ballard
No,
is-
Caitlin Ballard,
is
but
our
like the Department of
CTE.
Workforce Services, do they have a?
We have someone assigned to so apparently they are assigned to an area. So they gave me the person's name and who I need to contact that could then tell us how they can come in and do this. But I just didn't want to, And he would know if we already have this program, or he will already know what we already have. But I just wanted to talk
I
to.
bet we don't.
I think we do have something, we have some sort of coordination with workforce development. This is a particular program within workforce, the transfer track program.
Okay.
And so I'm
It
sure
costs
we.
money though.
No, it's free. What? It's part of your student cost. No, it's free. They get all of the VR. It's not the key. It's they come in for several days or a day.
Oh, I see.
It's
So
not,
they
yeah,
don't just send it,
They
give us
don't
all.
I'm
live-
sorry,
they-
I did not make that
They
clear.
don't give
Yes.
you the.
It is
equipment.
like, it's like taking a field trip, except they
They
come
come
in
to you.
and they do like classrooms, you know, it's a program that they come in and do. And there's much more involved with that as well. Like, and then there's an assessment tool, there's an assessment that kids take first, just like things they are interested in, you know, they kind of whittle it down. It's a lot more involved, but I thought it was an amazing program for those at-risk kids that are,
Yeah.
So I'm gonna follow up and just ask what we
That
do.
sounds really cool.
I loved it.
All right, build smarter, spend less, real strategies that save millions. That was the rising cost of construction. Anybody? Anybody? Okay.
Pass.
Next one was remoralizing the demoralized.
We went to that one.
We went to that one.
That's one that I had on my list, but I got pulled out, so how did that go?
It was good. So he basically defined the difference between demoralization versus burnout.
How did you define that?
So burnout is more of it's internal to the person. They just are exhausted. They're cynical. They're tired. They feel like things should be done a different way. No. They're frustrated with how things are. Just their circumstances. That's burnout. Demoralization is more external, meaning that the teacher still has the drive, but they can't.
They're frustrated.
They're frustrated because they cannot do what they want to do because of all these external factors. You know, you have to teach this. You don't have any autonomy. You don't have any time. You have to do these things. And so that's the difference, is that they still want to be doing it. They're just very, very
This I
frustrated.
thought would be a good admin, PD.
Yeah.
So it was really centered on that.
Who presented that?
Shane Farnsworth.
Was he
He's the Alpine.
he's the BYU guy? He was the guy that presented it, not the.
He was Alpine superintendent for a while.
Former. Oh, that's right. Former.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he talked about the 5 criteria to the moral code. Number 1, civic participation and engagement. Educators model teaching. Knowledge, skills required.
It's the why. The why. Causes of demoralization, mandated content focused on cognitive needs and not enough emotional needs, differing approaches to equity, funding sources limited, high stakes testing, alternative teaching license,
That was interesting.
and devaluing of education.
I will reach out.
I mean, if you could probably just.
I'll take his,
Get the
I'll
slides.
reach out and
Get
get
the
the slides and
slides.
modify that for us.
Because they have strategies how to remoralize through values, purpose, direction, culture. It's just, it's.
I have a question about that. So is that word, the demoralized, is that a word we've used before to identify? I don't know.
I think what they were trying to do is making sure that teachers and admin know the difference between burnout and there's a difference.
But demoralized, is that a term that they use to identify?
I think they're trying to push that.
Is it me? Does that
think
sound
it's a
like a harsh word?
Sociology word. It's sociology studies or something.
I don't know. I have a hard time with that.
Well, you don't want burnout because they're done. Burnout, they're done.
No, yeah.
Right?
Right.
They
But
can't.
I mean, just the language. I was like,
Oh.
the language is weird say, oh, no, I don't have burnout,
I'm demoralized.
It just seems weird, like when I saw that class, when I saw it, I was like,
I think it is a harsher
yeah,
word, if that's the right
Yeah.
adjective for it. But I think it's very real.
Yeah, I think,
okay.
And maybe not in, the sense of demoralized that we might see portrayed on
Right.
TV, but in between there is that,
the feeling of being.
that grind where, I'm just, and I think it's probably.
I'm working
Because
hard.
It could be,
Because
just keep on-
teaching is a moral
Moral.
endeavor, and so they,
Yeah.
teachers are.
No, you're right. It's like, yeah. I don't know, it just was
And
like.
so how to gain that, yeah, it's. That wasn't the guy. This wasn't the other one, was it? If I go back to what I remember. I have to do what, understanding the FMLA and ADA. Did you do that?
I went to that.
Anything you need to know?
I don't think so. Matt and I had a conversation with it following that, just for my own personal knowledge and, changes, so.
And on some of those things, like, we do, again, it falls back to that economy of scale issue that we sometimes face. And we're not super strong when it comes to, Family Medical Leave or the American Disabilities Act, or the amended act and how we integrate that. That's something that even this morning I was working with Krista on, navigating some issues there. I do have an extensive background in that, and I think as I continue to share that with our staff, be it building administrators, be it HR and payroll, and then also bringing Jerry up to speed, because there's a financial piece of the family medical leave, there's an the ADA and the 504 and temporary accommodation versus formal accommodation that we can navigate and really support. The biggest challenge that we are going to find in this district is two-part. Are we applying it? And two, are we applying it consistently? And so setting that precedent and making sure that we're well educated and that our administrators know the benefit of reaching out when they don't know how to handle a situation and going through the process, as opposed to possibly making an exception or granting unknowingly an informal accommodation and the long-term effects of that. So really, wanting people to be willing to come and ask and going through that. We talked about a couple of opportunities for Jerry to get some more training on that in a specific public education setting. That's probably more than you wanted to know about.
That's good. That's good.
There was another legislative one, but I think we all went to it, different ones. Working smarter with AI, that was different. School board members.
Was that related to school board members?
Yeah, ChatGPT streamlining your board work for drafting emails, developing, reviewing policy.
That's the one we went to then?
No,
Oh,
this one was, this session was
so we
designed
went to one without this, yeah.
more for school board members, right? I didn't go to that one.
Mhm.
Master board certification.
I went to it.
You did go to it?
Yeah, I was needing a place to go and it was the last day. So, yes.
Did you learn anything?
No, not really. I mean, just that they're trying to instill in people that it does have a work.
It's
It's got some
basically
value.
our professional development as board members.
Are you gonna hang on to them?
No, I'm at a next meeting.
Okay.
I think it needs to be at a.
He's gonna
during the board
present
meeting.
it and have everybody, and shake everybody's hand and.
Do the whole, so when they were giving out the awards for counties who have completed their master boards, they were talking about people that have gone through all 3 levels, right? Like
No, the level you're supposed to be on for that year.
Yeah. But there was another certificate.
Oh,
There was
I don't know
another
about
one, we all got, or, for completing our level, like we all
Right,
completed,
right.
right? But there was another one that was given to a district.
Mm-mm.
I thought it was if they.
It just says that there's more than 50% of the people have done the year, what we did, what we've
But we
done.
weren't.
The majority of the board has
Yes,
done.
we were.
And we did get that. Yes, I have
Yeah.
that too.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Oh, so we did get that.
And it's got a
Okay.
little, yeah.
I wasn't sure if it meant we had,
No.
they were giving it to the counties who had all had completed all the levels of
No,
that.
it just has to
Like
do
one,
with
2, 3,
those that
whatever.
participated in the
Thank you
program.
for that clarification. I was wondering about that.
And there are people that don't want to do it and fight it, and there are some contentious school boards. I can see that right now, because some people said, these guys just won't do it because they don't want to have to do that. They don't see any reason for it, but then, and they're trying to make it worthwhile, so that was it mostly.
Next, pull up a chair, student leaders at the board table. So
Okay.
this what happens when students take a seat along school board members, not as guests, but peers. So Provo School District board members, and what that looked like. I did too. Yeah, I think what the difference is, and I think it's a conversation to have with Matt to help the high school principal and the high school government class of like, do we want, I think it's important to have that student representative on our, at the table here. I don't think the student body president is that person, and that's not how they set it up, but it's, what's the difference is between those bigger schools, it's student body from all the schools, right? And then they have the one over the district. And the smaller districts did just have the, the student school board member, was separate than the elected one. It's not elected, and I asked them, I asked them what why they would do that, and I was like, is that because of popularity versus, like, who is,
The board
is good, but it's a board selected, they have a process.
They do like an interview,
The interview. I think it's important, and I think what happens with the student body president is usually they're super busy, and so one of the things we could set up is just those expectations, right? That you will be at the meeting the whole time, so it is 3 hours. It's a real position.
You have a seat at the table, you'll be.
It's not, and it's not voted, but it's,
Right,
but
you
you.
have input.
Yeah.
And they get to hear more, I think the most important thing is they get to hear everything, so it's not just.
And then you're the liaison to the school, and they feel heard. Student body still feels heard, and then we can also get that feedback back to the students of like why because that student sat there with for the discussion and explained why,
Right,
there was a
how we're done.
decision.
So we could write up a job description and we would pass that on
Well,
to
we
the
would-
high school teachers.
We would
and
just
they would
probably
review.
steal somebody's, but yeah.
That's what I mean. Well,
Yeah.
but we would have one, send it out, let the high school teachers,
No, we would,
encourage who should apply.
oh, yeah.
Then they come in for an
Um,
interview. Is that
I
what
don't
we're
think
doing?
you encourage teachers to it, but
I mean,
but-
whoever.
But we'd have to figure out the logistics of
Yeah.
it, but I do agree that,
How
school
would the kids-
school body presidents
Video,
are.
it was very slick little video,
Okay,
for
Okay.
example, so they were getting the word out.
yeah, they did, those bigger schools did have an advisory committee, and that's actually how it was kind of set up in Provo.
okay.
Which was interesting, because I was like, what's the difference between, why isn't our student body government doing this? But, the advisory committee really delved into issues, and tried to have representation from all different types of groups, and it was separate than the student body.
And the popularity.
Yeah,
More into the logistics.
yeah, but I think I would like to put it on our, list of to-dos next year of having one that's.
Or we could go down the route of, if we don't need, or we just have a student advisory committee, the board member. is
Well, I think-
there, but that's one way, yeah.
I think they still have stuff they need to do with
Yeah.
the student government.
Right.
And I think it's pretty overwhelming. I think they're pretty busy
Yeah.
doing all the
Yeah.
other stuff that the kids think are important, but there's probably a couple out there that think
This would be their thing.
this would be their thing. Yeah.
I'm sure there is. I could name this. My high school.
Yeah, that aren't busy either doing those other things, right? That they might be a debate kid, but they're not playing basketball every,
Right.
like 3 times a week, and they don't have a job that they couldn't get out of, or, they make that, this is their thing. But we need to, really flush it out and
Flush that out,
kind of, I think carbon was one. Did you write down any of the Emory and carbon? Well, we were at the legislative, that meeting. There were two sitting there. Those were the,
Kids.
Those came from Carbon.
those,
But they were interns for.
oh, that's
VA.
right. That's right. They were
interns
interns.
for the VA.
But the one was from Carbon and she was also up there as one of the student advisors on the same girl.
Yeah.
I can reach out to Jim. and see
Yeah.
how Emory has it set up.
Because they have to set it up with small district. It's not gonna be like Provo, but. And we can set it up how, if it's not working, I think it'd be cool. Also, it would be neat. It would be great to hear, those issues because they're also on they do have to be on a committee, so they would be on a policy committee, but we would get student feedback before, it hits the lines of all the kids freaking out, right? They could just be here and go, hey, kids, you know what? Kids are really upset because of this, and we would like the board to look at creating policy or it's just a way for them to communicate better instead of just.
And this is, yeah, you can see those kids who might want to pursue government, in their future. Yeah, I could see that. Okay.
Driving Success School Land Trust Program support for school board members. I went to that too.
That was one that I didn't take any notes because they assured us we'd get slides.
So I did steal the paper that has all the QR codes.
Yes.
Thank you, because
What paper with all the QR codes?
It's this paper with the QR codes.
And then my
So-
thought,
school land trust.
my thought going forward was they have the new administrator trainings, and I know that we have experienced administrators in trust lands, but I think it would be good as an admin team to go through that and just make sure that we're dotting our i's and crossing our t's and really know where we're going. And looking at, are we putting our trust land resources towards our actual goals and priorities?
Right.
Or are they being redistributed to other areas? And what that looks like for this district. Traditionally, this district has not put that money into salary for employees, and that's fine if that's how they want to do it. I know other districts that do put a large portion of that money into targeted intervention with specific employees and things of that nature. So really just kind of going through our process and refining it. We have some schools that are doing really, really well and other schools that aren't. So what can we share and learn from each other? And just kind of go through those resources. And the presenter seemed like he would be very open to having conversation and helping us if we need it.
I ran in 45 minutes early, so I had a long conversation. He would love to come to Moab and present. And he's good at it.
The one takeaway that I had, and I ended up asking, and I had a conversation with Kathy about it because I needed some clarification that would be maybe addressed if we got some training, was that I got the impression that and it's obviously the community councils are part of the decisions, but that every decision has to go back to that school's goal. That how they're spending that money, that it's supposed to connect it back.
It should be tied back to it, yes.
Even if it's creatively.
Yes.
Connected back.
Well,
So-
because their plans have all
They
those
have to.
goals outlined in it, and it has to go back to the plan and the
Yeah.
specific goal of the plan.
So that's when I was asking the questions like, explain to me, and I'm 100% behind the arts, but explain to me how paying for part of an art teacher goes back to the school overall goal for the middle school.
Because it improves math, because they use angles to draw.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's a creative way, but I was just wanting more understanding how they do that.
I also think you'll see it when we go through that process. No, the process of approving the community council plans. So
Okay.
coming up here in the next couple months, we will be presented, each school will be presenting the plan, and they'll say, we want an art teacher, and this is the goal that.
Okay.
And that's where we will go, wait a minute, where'd you get that goal? Or,
And last year I probably didn't understand all of that, so. okay,
yeah, I
well,
think, yeah.
Okay, cool, thank you.
And by year 18, you'll figure out.
Yeah, then I'll be like, oh, yeah.
Just to echo that too, why the school community council is the driving force behind that. The board does have a role of making sure that alignment's there. And I have seen boards say, you know what, we don't like your trust land plan, you need to go back and fix it and come back.
But only alignment. We're not gonna
No, yeah,
send back and go, hey,
We don't
we
think
think
that's-
you need to, we,
Agreed.
it's very,
And the board is not a voting member, right, of the
No.
the committee council.
No, I just go and I
But we
just,
have,
I just get abused.
For that.
right,
for
you're
that part,
sitting
yeah.
in just a, yeah.
What was sort of interesting is the group that I was in was one. They won't let me come. They won't invite me. I thought, what are you? Some sort of bad guy? I mean, they usually like you to be there because they like to see, that you're understanding what's going on. I get thanked every time I'm there. That's all I can say. And I've been on them for
Do you
15
go
years.
to the
so
high school now?
I go to all of them.
Oh, you do?
Yes, I know everyone.
it can be contentious because they, yeah, in other schools.
It's a really good way to see how administrators work. That's what I would say. It's a good way to see.
Are we allowed to sit in?
Anybody can go. It's an open
having
meeting.
more
That's
than
why
one
he's
board
doing
member-
it.
But I mean, having more than one board
As
member.
long as
I
there's
would-
not three.
Like if I just wanna like just go check
If
it
you
out.
wanted to, you
Sure,
certainly.
That should be on our list of,
I was gonna
Oh,
say,
yeah,
yeah.
and it's not on my list.
And
So
nobody
add
can,
that.
but
can
I do
still add it.
that, so nobody can take it as their thing.
No, no,
'cause
I just wanna check-
I don't want to give it
Trust me,
up.
I don't wanna, I just wanted to like check them out. I'm
Yeah,
just trying to learn. as much as I
It's usually on a Monday.
can.
after
Okay, I'll
3:30.
I find though that like, once you kind of created, you create your list or you create your decisions and where you're gonna put the funds. Once that's done, then we would continue to have meetings, but it might not be about that. We would talk about Blue Ribbon, or we would talk about other things, but it might not be,
But, yes, but you can look at results of what you've done.
or you could do that. We would
And
do
that's
that,
done
yeah.
a lot
Mhm.
with
I
the
think-
rights.
a highly
Right,
effective administrator would be,
Yeah.
They show good, you'll see when you get
Yeah.
the reports. There was
Right.
some pretty good results. that we took.
thank
Of
you.
what they did, and let's show
Reading and all,
the
yeah.
outcomes that we
Yeah.
have because we spent this
Because,
money.
and
and this is-
then I say, Holly can explain how that happened.
Yeah.
Different than it didn't happen last year or the year.
Right.
But
That's
yes, they keep busy.
They do,
Not much
They
at the middle school because there's no money.
yeah, once you
Well, there's
kind
only a
of,
few kids, so they
Yeah.
don't get nearly as much.
and so
I mean,
it kind of.
the grade school's gonna get 220 some pounds.
And so in our Google Drive,
Yeah.
there are old, what are they called?
Plans.
Plans,
Trust
yeah,
plans.
that go
So-
back pretty far.
Okay.
So-
And they've evolved, they've changed. a
Yeah,
lot.
but you can see kind
But
of,
if I just wanna see, okay. cool.
And a lot,
see-
about 90% of the money spent on para sessions and things.
Yeah.
I'll tell you.
Have you done the highly effective board where, I know we talked about, I wanted just to make sure.
we
that-
haven't gotten there yet.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
My dog's gonna eat my cat.
oh, God.
No problem.
We're almost there. But you by you, investor, just joking. Strengthening school leaders. That was Rick Nielsen, and,
Lawrence Lee and Jim Quigley.
oh, quickly, that's right. I went down a rabbit hole. And I have anybody wants to have
I want
his historic,
I
his,
want to know.
do you? I'll give you my book. Found him in the book. This was interesting. The one thing I want to say is that somebody said, we have all these ideas for how to do something. Like we want to do a student's school board member, or we want to implement, what was your thing, the first one?
The workforce. Yeah.
It's not our job to do it. It's our job to find the resources and ask our superintendent to implement. So that's the overstepping. So they really present great ideas and you get really excited. You're like, I want to do that, but we don't do that. We just say, okay, we want to do this. What resources, money, or training, or PD, or can we help you, give you to make it happen? And so that's one of the things of this particular one was, what's the name of the university?
Deloitte University.
What was it?
Deloitte, you were talking
So
about that.
Deloitte University helps principals and superintendents become better leaders. And you could teach them how to do that we got some information, but really what it is about is, as a board, we're going to make a goal that professional development for principals is high priority, or, and putting money towards that aspect. Is that,
Yeah, I think I understand that.
so just, it's, Rick Nielsen cried during that particular one. He's really, but he cries at a colorful spreadsheet, is what he said.
Oh, yeah.
Rick is a really fantastic asset. I was actually communicating with him this week and just got a really cool spreadsheet from his executive assistant that I think will help with us becoming more effective and efficient in board meetings and our board agendas. Anyways, 16 years, 17 years as NEBO's superintendent. He's a good resource.
So, and then describing great leaders, we as a big group would put in our little idea bubbles or whatever. But strong leaders, key drivers to classroom achievement, the belief that all students can learn, high expectations and vision, leader is able to inspire something. Teachers support and mentor each other. So that's what we're striving for in our schools, and I think high reliable schools will do that.
It ties right into it. It's a metric and a format that can help us get there. The School Leadership Alliance is fairly new. That's what Lawrence does. And Jerry and I've had the opportunity to attend one really good meeting with him, professional development, and continuing to just culture that relationship. I'm corresponding with him quite frequently. He is looking at partnering with San Juan to do some things, and it's my intent to talk with Christy down there and see, just because we're so small, if it's something that we can latch onto. If they're coming to southeastern Utah, they might as well hit us both, right?
Mm.
So partnering with them to try and strengthen this and really put that professional development into our administrators, so that we have that foundation for something I'm passionate about.
Yeah, I had a nice conversation in one of the other groups with a San Juan County board member. Oh, I don't remember her name. But we were just a good conversation, like we should connect.
Colleen?
She had the long straight hair. She was in our session. She was at my table.
So again, how can we give superintendent, how do we support superintendent opportunities, resources to make leaders? So money, time, schedules, calendars, and an impactful professional development. What have you seen work in terms of best leadership development for school leaders? And he gave examples, but dean of students, admin assistants, collaborations, PLC, instructional coaches, admin training for teachers, duties and mentors. So it's just looking at, it's basically giving your superintendent some,
And I don't know if you shared in your meeting, but NEBO has a really fascinating program, and it's not internships, not the right word, but they put teachers aspiring to go into administration in kind of a hybrid role. They're not administrators, but they're teacher representatives, and it really gives them an opportunity, one, for the employee to be like, okay, I like this, I can do this, because I think one of the things that we fail at higher ed is we go through and we give people all the training to be an administrator, but we don't talk to them about what that actually means. It puts you, like the joke is you join the dark side because you don't get to make everybody happy. You're exposed to more scrutiny. And some people just get into it and don't like it. Others like it and might not have the skill set. And so they have the opportunity to kind of do a test run. It builds their applicant pool for their administrators.
And they are teaching. They still have their teaching role, but
they still have a role. It may vary from teaching to lead teacher to some type of instructional coach or whatever that role looks like. And obviously, with 80,000 students out here in Ramsey, they're different than us as far as our ability to do that. But I do think that having that opportunity to kind of give both sides a test run is something we should look to capitalize on if the opportunity presents itself within our structure.
Yeah, and it's gonna be harder for us since
Yes.
we're so small, but thinking outside the box, to help teachers, find, or help administrators and teachers look at roles and add different things to help them be.
Like experience, yes.
Yeah, but it's gonna be difficult.
It's not a, it's
Because
not
once
an
you
easy-
take them out of the classroom,
Yeah,
and
it's not an easy solution, but I think not just in this district, but other districts, you're seeing with the exception of the big districts like Davis and Nebo and things like that, but you don't see that drop, for lack of a better term, of aspiring administrators, coming up. We have a number of teachers in this district that have an administrative credential that don't want anything to do with administration. And so how we can kind of grow our own that way and give them that opportunity and give them the support that maybe could change their mind, so that you have some local tie. Because it is hard to bring in, we've been really fortunate, but it's hard to bring in, outsiders to come into Moab, to want to know the culture, to be able to afford a home.
Do we know, have we gotten feedback from those, the select few you were talking about that don't want any part of it? Do we kind of know why they do? Not necessarily specifics, but like, oh, I don't want the pressure, or do we have any ideas?
A large pressure point on that is compensation.
That's
When you
Sounds-
look at
what's the point if you're
when you
not
look
getting
at what you
it?
make on a daily rate,
Yeah.
and then you extend that to from 183 days to 260 days,
we had back in the day, and still could be similar. We had teachers that had been in the district longer would, if they moved to administrative role, they would not be making more
Making
money.
less,
They would be
Yeah.
maybe even less money or something.
Well, they would. I don't think you'd make. Well, maybe you'd make
I mean, if
less.
you have
I don't
tenure,
know.
on a daily rate, it's always.
But back at, like, I would say 8 years ago, there
was
was
even
no
less.
way that a teacher with 20 years experience would go to into administration.
And so that's
It's like the same, yeah.
No, it's more. They were making more, and then they would have to add another month.
that's a major.
Actual, like, annual money. So
That's a major sticking point. But there's a big piece of scrutiny.
Yeah.
It
We're so
does,
small that,
it does open you up to another level of scrutiny, and yeah. And then when you talk about hourly rate, yeah.
yeah.
I don't even dare calculate.
Are you a highly effective school board member?
I love this one. I loved it. I loved all of them. I was so excited. I know that you and I, one of the things we talked about was, about the documents. So when admin is planning to present something to us in a meeting, that we have time, that we receive those documents the Friday before, so that we have time to review them and to ask them tiny little questions. Can I get some clarification? So that doesn't have to be done in the board meeting. So if they need to tweak something, like, oh, I realized I didn't make that clear. So they can tweak it all way before it comes to the meeting. That to me, I love that.
So it's been our goal, since I took over as intern, to try, because that's my habit in the past, is to have board meeting packets out Friday afternoon, so that board members can look at them over the weekend. And if they do have questions or concerns, reach out, so nobody's blindsided in a meeting. And we are working and reminding and trying diligently to work towards that goal. That is my intention, to have that posted Friday afternoon, so that you guys can look at it over the weekend, and then we can do that.
So what has to happen to make it happen? I'm not being critical of you at all. I'm just like, what do we have to do to make sure that a principal does that?
Well,
I'm sorry.
there's a
Or admin,
there's
whoever, yeah.
there's competing demands, and
No, I'm not talking about you. Wait, hold on. Let me make sure I got this clear. I'm talking about, no, I'm not talking about Jen. I'm talking about leadership reports from the schools.
I'm talking about
Okay,
agendas,
okay,
leadership reports, and all attachments
okay. I'm talking about,
that
yeah.
are tied to board meetings,
Gotcha.
so that you have the time to review those in advance. I would like to see those, and we are working in that direction. Communicating the importance of that and the prioritization of that is on me to continue to discuss with our team. And sometimes I'm guilty, I'm on
I
the
know.
road or here or there and trying to I added documents today, which I hate,
No.
but
I'm speaking specifically about documents from other
Administrators?
leadership.
Mhm.
Yeah, admin.
Well,
That's
and
what I'm
then-
talking
and the
about. I'm
idea
not
was
talking
then-
about your documents, Matt. I'm talking
Yeah.
about
But
getting
will
it.
they read the whole thing on Friday?
Yes,
Ideally.
exactly. But to making sure that is definitely.
And then it goes to us to be prepared. I think that was the idea too, is that then we've read everything before we come. So we show that we are engaged, we're invested, we are serious, we respect everybody else's time, that they've put effort into it, that we've read it, and like you say, if we have questions, we can maybe ask, clarify to the individual so we don't have to,
Call them
use
out
that
like or
time and
something,
call
yeah.
them out in a public meeting or use that time that doesn't need to be used because it's a little question that only I have or something like that.
Right.
So that was preparation.
Yeah. I had a question about the accessibility to policies to the public. Is that that was brought up that on our website, parents should be able to do a search for a policy if they wanted to. Like, what is this about the cell phone policy? They could search it and it would come up, or a place on our website where parents know they could go.
So our policy is posted on our website right now. It is not user-friendly at all. It's not super searchable. Michelle and I are working to put that on Diligent Community. So if you go to that homepage, there'll be a link for policy, and it will be searchable, and they'll be able to see all of our current policy. I'd like to get that to a place where it's current and policy that's, where is being proposed or coming down the pipe that they'll be able to differentiate from. And then also, there'll be a library there, so as a member of the school board, you will be able to look at current policy and past reiterations of that same policy side by side, once we get it fully implemented.
And this is for parents as well.
For anybody. It'll be
Okay.
public access.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And that was a big deal on the Ogden AI, because they have it down to, you can search.
Oh, it was
They put it all
awesome.
AI and it's pretty amazing.
So right now, I've got that document, and Shane just got me a thumb drive where we're putting everything in Notebook what's the Notebook AI, anybody remember?
I don't.
Notebook LM, anyways, we will have all of our policy, all of, R277, which is the rule that governs public education, and then all of, 53G, all in one place where you will be able to just go and say, type in maternity leave.
Yeah.
And it will give you the district policy, it will give you the supporting rule and the supporting legislation for that you can look at all at one place. And I've got a draft done, I'm really close to having that implemented all the way.
That's pretty good.
Awesome.
How are you gonna do that? Is it like, there's some software that can make that happen? It's not like you're gonna do it one by one.
No, it's Notebook LM.
I
and
see. Okay.
You put in all of your documentation, so it keeps it from doing a
And it will
worldwide-
sort it properly?
It keeps it from doing a worldwide web search, but it just creates a database on the back end, if you will, with our policy and the different law and legislation that I put in.
Great.
And then when you search that, it pulls the specifics out.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Keep on talking.
Yeah, that's all I had.
One of the things we talked about for being an effective school board member, board and super and VA relationships, district roles. There's clear roles, it's collaborative, board governs with vision, oversight, superintendent's day-to-day, run staff, enact the vision. You need to keep an open and honest relationship. All board members need a relationship with super and VA, respect roles, data-driven decisions. What can hurt the relationship is micromanaging, overstepping, politics, lack of transparency, and personal agendas. And then how does a board member express dissent? Remember that curiosity is not being critical, so making sure those questions are.
I always have questions, and I'm always like, okay, I'm not being critical, but.
Yeah, I mean, I think we have a good board, and but asking those questions. So, oh, here it is. The board is the what, the super is the how. That makes sense? So if you ever, what we need to do, and this to your how to do it.
There was one in mine, it was like, give me a map and a compass. I'm gonna get a compass instead of a map.
Yeah, I read that somewhere too.
Just someone said it.
Yeah.
Right.
Don't make quick decisions. And Christy Sweat, one of the things that she does at the end of the night, or she was a past school board member, I think is great, but she does a summary or takeaways. And so at the end of the night, they might have the president would be, like figure out what's the next step, making sure everybody's on the same page. So a summary of the night. That's I'm passing along if there ever is another.
In the book, I feel like I'm sorry.
Yeah, the book.
Yeah.
The book was the governance core.
Yep.
I feel like I am gonna take on the task of reading those 2 books.
I would like to.
Let us
Do a
know
little
if
book
there-
report.
Or let us
on
know
the
if it's worth it.
Yeah.
If we should.
And that other book that person emailed us. The one you told us that was.
Oh,
real.
no.
You could be like our, what's the other word for historian? It's like, not the historian, but you can, yeah, I like that.
Okay, truth and taxation, what you need to know and how to prepare.
Jerry and I did that.
Pretty much what we know
Yep.
and how to prepare is all gonna
Yep.
change in this legislative
Yep.
session.
Wow.
Except for you're still gonna have to go through the TNT process, but it's gonna be,
That's gonna change. Really? Wow.
at least if the proposed legislation.
Happening, this like particular.
Well, that, when we have to say that we're gonna propose it,
Mm.
what we have to do to prepare to, when we propose it.
The 10 Commandments.
Yeah,
Mm.
I did learn that we were one of 30% that actually got their TNT through last fall, so that was really fun. But I had the same experience with the individual from the VA from Davis that did this presentation. Every bit of email I had with the Utah State Tax Commission, I kept.
Oh.
So that they were the final say. If they said it was okay, then it was okay.
And you
So-
get through it.
But anyway, yeah, we just learned that everything that we've done in the past possibly is subject to change.
But
If
do it
legislation
right the
passes.
first time, because the second time's even worse. And sometimes you have to cut programs because you didn't get that funding
Yes, so.
during that year.
Attendance essentials, building and refining systems to support improved attendance.
I went to that. That, they talked about basically the way that well, first of all, one of the important things is, it's important to have good tracking data. So that I guess, what kids are, where they are, and did they have an excuse note, or if all the necessary things. You need to have good tracking data. You need to have attendance codes, which are nuanced. So attendance can be like if a kid misses school because of a basketball meet that they left, that is different than just missing school, like just not showing up. So, and it's also important to, when you are creating policies for attendance, you need to take into account stakeholder input. So admin, students, parents need to have input into how you define your attendance and what the attendance requirements are. They have these are bigger districts, like Ogden was one, and I think Marie City was one. They have attendance people. That's what they do. They're administrators that just do attendance, and they keep track of the kids. If they are getting an idea that maybe this child has missed 2 or 3 days, or they've missed so many days in a row or whatever, their early intervention is what they're part of their role. Data tracking is what system are you going to use? What data? Daily absences, tardies, excused or unexcused, chronic absences, etc. They talked about how the school board can support the attendance campaign is just by messaging. We are a big part of the messaging of why it's important, which we did. I think I will say that at least last year, I think Jeremy was starting to do that, at least within the community as well. Attendance procedures, who's taking attendance, teachers, secretaries, online portals, etc. The attendance campaign, foster a culture of accountability, utilize, and they gave some examples of the incentives that they use to get younger kids, the elementary school kids, to come to school. And they had competitions like, it's going to be BYU versus U of U. We're having a game this Saturday, and we want all you kids to vote. And whoever wins, if BYU wins or the U of U wins, just simple things like that. Which I think maybe we did similar. We tried to do maybe some similar stuff like that. But the one thing that they didn't really have any attendance strategies for secondary schools. How do you get secondary kids to go to school? So it was all about elementary school kids, which I think are more responsive to at least those kind of incentives, maybe pizza parties and just, just the knowledge that you're BYU one or whatever. Evidence-based strategies using teacher-led conversations. Again, this was in parent-teacher conferences, having teachers emphasize, why it's important to be in school. Maybe we can get some simple handouts that just make it so the teacher can just give the parents some, things to read that are evidence-based and encourage kids to go to school. They did say carrots are much more important than sticks. They're more effective. Research shows carrots are more effective than sticks for enforcement, for getting kids to go to school. So.
A couple of things that stood out to me on that. One, I think the early intervention identification, I don't remember the specifics, but if a student misses more than 2 days in the first 20 days, they're likely to have a chronic attendance problem.
5 times more likely to be chronically absent.
So,
if they miss 2 days in the first 20 days.
So really watching the first month of enrollment and trying to pick out if we're going to have and kind of do early intervention there. And then 2, they didn't talk about it a lot, but when they talked about different codes and they're nuanced and their different programs of how we're tracking attendance, that's one of the things the state is looking at and hammering down on because of their lack of faith in our data again. And what does it? Are you absent if you're? At what point does a tardy go to an absent when it comes to a class? And how are these codes reflected? And if you're being excused every day for an entire semester, and it's mom calling in or dad calling in saying you're sick, what does that look like? Is it an excused absence? Should we be having some intervention? Should we be? And I think some of that will be addressed in the guidance coming out of these bills, but still something we need to be proactively looking at and making sure that how we monitor and record attendance.
Is that did those schools have policies then?
They do.
To address that?
They talked about, I think that they did create policies, at least that defined attendance. It had to be compliant with legislation. They needed to support, the policy supports fidelity in the tracking data so that you're actually keeping legitimate information. Have cyclical reviews, update the policy over every however long it should be taken into or reviewed.
Okay, school finance basics.
We won.
It was awesome. Actually, the presenter was really great. So when we do Finance 101 here, totally taking a page out of his playbook.
Oh,
and how to
good.
do it. It was awesome.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
When are we gonna do that? What do you wanna,
Give me a little bit.
okay. I don't want you to
Yeah, but you can
forget.
get the whole presentation of the
No,
program.
I
Dinner
actually
next
talked to
week.
the lady and he was the BA at Emory County forever and he said he'd also send his slides.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
It was really great.
National board certification? Anybody go to that?
No.
Speed networking?
I did.
Oh.
Yeah. It was great.
Did you network with a
It was
lot of
very
people?
small,
Yeah.
sparsely attended, but it was actually great. I felt like I talked to the most people of other boards from. I want to go with Matt. There was a lot of talk about scheduling in high schools, and then or how people were doing it. And then a great quote someone said. I thought, "You lose trust by buckets, you gain it by drops." It was a good thing to remember.
Okay, have a safe trip home.
Thank you.
We
didn't win the baskets.
No.
No.
Kathy did.
Yeah, Kathy won the
I
basket.
did win a basket.
How was that, how was that minky blanket?
It's very nice. The Mickey blanket is very nice. It's actually a good size travel blanket, but I have to say that backpack is.
Oh
Don't
my
talk
God.
about it. Don't talk about it.
Don't, we have
Very
so
nice.
much, I'm so envious. Oh, please. I visualize
That was
myself
pretty
hiking with my dogs.
Oh.
I just was like, oh, that would look so good.
Oh. Okay, executive session, probably, yeah, let's do that real quick.
Yeah, let's just go into it.
Okay.
Not take a break, because I need to.
Okay. I need that paper. Where is it?
It's on your desk.
Right here, okay.
Do we all have that paper?
No, it's just me,
No.
it's my notes. Okay, I'll accept a motion to go into executive session for personnel.
So moved.
Is there a second? Who seconded that?
Kathy.
Sure.
Or,
Dave Burchett make the motion, Kathy Williams seconds to go into executive session for personnel. Roll call vote.
Dave Bish said yes.
Kathy Williams, yes.
Melissa Burgess.
Jenna Woodbury,
Oh my gosh, we're going backwards.
I love
Well, I
that.
thought it
Thank
was
you.
probably. since we
That
made
was
the
passed
motion.
5-0. We'll go into executive session at 7:09. And we will turn off the recorder. Where to go in there? Doesn't tell me who,
Mhm.
the vote, doesn't tell me who who made the motion on this. Is that okay?
Oh, you.
On your thing?
You're talking about your affidavit?
On my affidavit. Do I need that on my
Just
affidavit?
write it in.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to, I'm gonna stop all this.
Yeah. Make sure we're off YouTube.
I know.